down, Lindsay.
Oh, yeah. But it's not ugly.
Bad ugly if we didn't have money for it, right?
It's.
What's it, you tent? Well, the old one, the old one. That piece of it. So these are all the ones you didn't email? Right.
Yeah, the only copies I have are the draft of the 610 minutes, so.
Yeah, that's what I did.
And then Ron and I were each bringing the March 13th from our history, right?
Right.
So it was the other three.
All right, we'll call the select board meeting to order at 7:04. There are 3, 4, 5 recording devices, best I can count. There's one video. Oh, that's going already? It's on autopilot?
For as long as I can stand it.
For as long as you can stand it. We'll try to make it as entertaining for you as we possibly
Good.
can.
Or short as possible.
Yeah, it's too
Either
nice.
would be good.
It's really too nice an evening after that storm came through. Let's get through signing the warrant here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's just 150 there, and he approves the whole thing here,
But
but really only 50 goes forward. But
I think so. Isn't that 50?
yeah, I
So
think
that's.
it is, but then it makes you wonder what about the other 50?
Thank you. I got the same question. So I didn't think I saw it yet, but maybe it's.
Maybe it's in there somewhere.
All right, I'll put it first. Or near the front. Maybe it'll
So you
pop
have
out at
you
somebody
have a
else.
question on the vendor warrant?
Well, it's just trying to.
We have one. You might as well ask it and answer, get it answered.
So you have this here for $50 on each of these, perhaps the yellow one. Okay, for town hall. And then we have this one for the fire department, and it's the same bill, but I presume it's one of the
You
other
should have one for
addresses.
wastewater treatment plant.
Is that where the third one is?
Third one, you bet.
Thank you, maybe I haven't got to it
So it
yet.
was split up into 3 accounts as it was supposed to be, even though it was one
Right.
invoice.
That's okay, I just hadn't found the third one yet.
It's handwritten at the bottom of those, because it came in after she was already here, it turned out this way.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's for the.
Looked like it rained too much here this afternoon. I came up.
It was fierce for a few minutes.
It It did rain hard for a few minutes?
It didn't amount to much, you know, on gauge, but it was,
The
we
wind-
would have gotten very wet in it if you boiled it. And it cooled off everything fast.
There was thunder here.
Yeah.
Came up from Connecticut and it poured Holyoke, East Hampton way. Reminded me of a cow peeing on a flat rock. That's how hard it was coming down.
Can't associate him,
Huh?
Don't encourage it. Don't encourage it.
New analogies.
So you said the third one's the wastewater?
Yeah.
Oh, the payroll, did you see the payroll one? That
It's
was
all
weird.
signed.
Oh, you're with I already looked at it.
Nothing else, just the health.
I didn't find it, but I trust her, it's in here, I maybe went by it before I discovered it, so I'll pass it to you.
How's Sydney?
Good.
I heard that yesterday was
It was
exciting,
quite eventful.
but she's good tonight.
Yeah, she said it's bothering her tonight, so she's sitting up in the baseball game.
So it's not bothering her so bad that she just can't.
She went to school. Yeah. Turned out well, so it's all that matters.
So our telephone only be $3.29. I wish mine was like that.
I know. It's one of those crazy ones, you get refunds and then you get, it's not the right stuff. That's how you get that. March is coming.
That $4,050 for tree warden. Last Monday, I think it was. Last week sometime. I had to the garage and I said to Tom, was not leaving. I said, now, Mr. Tree Warden, we went and got you all that money special. Take some trees down before. Oh, I've already done it. The money's coming.
Keep remembering. There's this one about the blessing and the vote, and it's got a letter attached. I was reading it, so the two
Oh, I
of you may
noticed,
not
I
have
noticed,
seen it.
I noticed the bill on there.
by memo only, not in person.
Oh,
So that can go for now.
and we can take all sorts of people out of here.
That's-
Ted's here for the warrant.
This up. You signed it.
Did I miss anything?
No, no, no. Ron's going over the last one. You didn't sign it, you had a chance.
Oh, okay.
Looks like his vocational transportation, he's been, this adjustment invoice here, right? It looks like it.
Right, it's the adjustment.
Right.
Good.
And then the letter is attached to the back, and I was explaining how we got to that.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, that's the, and you can copy them, just send it in. And I actually sent a copy.
Your driveway, personal, does your driveway get washed out with all this rain much?
No,
or
no.
Pretty much stays where it's put.
That's what we designed it for.
Beg your pardon?
That's what we designed it for. It's bulletproof.
Famous last words.
Just big storms affect
Got it so all the water runs right down into Crown and Shield cellar.
it. Since we got them to blade it for us, it doesn't happen so much anymore.
Good. It is wet, the ground's full.
That's the two trees that together.
2 trees.
And one, at least one was definitely before the storm, so it may be the saturated ground.
Alright.
And those are Route 26. It's my understanding they're only Route 27 for the year end.
There could even be a cleanup one after that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, up to the 15th process there.
By the 15th of July.
Up to the 15th for things that have been
Of
purchased or contracted by the 30th.
Okay. All right. Why don't we, let's hop right on to these minutes of last week, June 10th. I'm looking at the copy
I was just gonna
that,
say, which copy do you want?
I'm looking at the copy that Mary sent.
That's, The only thing that I have on this is, at the end, when we talked about meeting on the dam and the field, I had thought that I had said that the week before we go out, the Monday before, which is the 24th, as opposed to the 17th. I didn't come prepared to talk about anything tonight. So,
I was just gonna say where, I found where you talked to somebody.
what's that?
Where is this?
Page 4,
Yeah, the last,
Oh, page.
actually, page 3.
page 3, okay.
Right under Kohler's contacted Alden Gray.
Okay.
And it says, would like to be put on the agenda for the week prior to the visit, you know, basically that was it. So that would have been the 24th, not this week. I mean, we could talk about it this
Do
week.
you want the Monday prior as opposed to the
Yeah.
week prior?
The select board meeting, and it's 2 minutes. So you could say the Monday prior to the 29th site visit or something like that, or the 24th, whichever is fine.
All looks pretty straightforward to me.
I got a couple.
Go ahead.
Page 1. Under the first motion, the next paragraph down, in the second line, the paperwork to do this is very lengthy and complex.
The first motion?
The first
The
page.
paragraph
first motion,
after
go
that.
the next paragraph down, in the second line,
Corporal water.
comma, the paperwork to do this, I think it needs is very lengthy and complex.
Yeah.
Just reads better. Page 2, Doug Field. I think what they were switching, I believe you're right on the tornado warnings, but I don't think they were adding the hazardous materials bills. I think they were taking that out and gonna replace it with the dam, because right now the dam is number 1 and they want to put the tornado number 1. But.
Well, they
I
said
think they're
something
gonna
about
take
they
out
were changing
these.
the order. They said they were going to change the order of some of these.
Right.
And I remember them saying about tornado warnings and hazardous materials bills.
And from my talk with them, I'm not sure they figured out which
They
one
really want,
would
right,
be which.
because right now number 1 is the dam, and I think they said that, well, anyway. So
I think it's
I
still
wonder
gonna
if it'd
change.
be better off stating less than more than, since it's subject to change. Reorganization of the warnings.
So
The
how
order of the
about,
warnings?
how about they're going to be making some changes to the siren on town hall, period. As soon as this
Fine.
is complete, it needs to be posted.
Right. Okay. Because, yeah, they may change their mind again before that.
So scratch out to allow for
Yeah.
the rest of that sentence.
Yeah.
And maybe instead of gotten out to the townspeople, maybe distributed to the townspeople. How's that? I mean, I know what you meant.
I'm on page 4. I think, second sentence, or, yes, second sentence, copies of letter draft. I thought those were copies of the final that we saw last week. And I think since there's 2 different letters there, maybe we should call one document 9A and the other document 9B, as opposed to lumping them as one document when it's 2 separate things.
It was the final letters
Right,
that
it
I
wasn't
had
a
signed.
draft. Right, and it was copies, because it had your signature and had town council
Right.
that we were looking at.
So it should say draft letter, period. You know,
Should
draft
say letter, copy of the letter,
Yeah,
Copy.
drafted by town council.
Copies of letters.
Drafted, yes, drafted. right.
But it wasn't a copy, it was the letter, right?
Yeah. Well, it was copies, that wasn't the original.
She mailed the originals.
She mailed the original.
But I think the fact that there's two people, then I'd be inclined to say, you know, take the first one, Suzanne, make it document 9A,
Yeah,
Deborah's 9B.
I agree with that.
I was just doing it so you didn't have to change all the whole numbering scheme, that's why I called it A and B.
Two separate complaints, so
Right.
they deserve.
And then the next one that begins Blue Card Distributed, I think there were two, and I typed it up just to make it easy rather than reading it all, but she had two letters, and I think it would be better, they were emails from her, and she had a subject line and a date. So I typed up both, which I think now that I look at it would be 11A and 11B, and make them individual. Just so you can see what it is,
Yes,
just
I-
hand it to her, it's just to make them unique, because they had their own subject lines and their own dates. That's all, just to be more clear as to what it was, the email was.
Well, they were both June 9th, but one was at 9:47 PM and the other was at 5:59 PM.
Right, and they've got two different subject lines, unless they gave you two
No.
copies of the same thing.
You okay with that, Lynn?
I'll tell you when.
And so then down at the bottom, there would be a 9A and a 9B, and 11A and 11B, with the changes we put in.
Anything else?
That's all I've heard?
So I'll make a motion, unless you have something, Tom?
No, I'm good, I was good with that.
I'll make a motion that we accept the draft minutes as amended. And include the amendments in the document list, please, Lynn,
And include a copy of the draft.
and a copy of the draft.
Oh, so number,
Man,
right,
that'd be like number 13,
13.
draft.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Must be unanimous. All right. That's done. Now, while we're on it, March 13th, from memory. Whoop. We got another one to the edge of the audience, March 13th. We were going from memory on this, or going from what we had.
I think the assignment was I was supposed to bring in my copy.
What's that?
Last week, I couldn't, he had his copy of the changes that we did, because we already did March 13th
Right.
as approved, but the copy we received last week didn't have all the corrections in it, and since I didn't have mine, Ron was gonna look at his, and I was gonna bring mine, because I think it was not up to snuff yet, March 13th, that they handed it out, but it was finally not right.
That's what we got last week.
Right, and Ron had changes, and so did I, and I didn't think everything made it
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of
If
the
he
ones
had
where we were
some
flipping back and forth, who was.
And we had already approved them, so we don't need to approve them again, but we were just sort of, the final copy was up to snuff. That was the one I got in March. He needs to-
Do you have that copy of what we got last week?
Yeah, I have a copy of what we emailed to you guys.
Of what we had originally. I didn't look for the one
So,
that had been accepted before, but you say it was accepted on, because I can just find
approved
out.
on 325.
Yep.
We got the first draft on 325 and approved it the same day. So, Lynn,
Yeah.
if you want to make some notes on that, so we
We gotta check with these two. He had some.
Okay.
I know he had his
Come
last
down
one.
there.
in the first paragraph,
Yep, park commission,
it has approximately with a question mark.
you're on the park commission, right?
No, first paragraph, right at the top.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's
It
missing
says
something.
approximately with
Question?
The one they gave us It's missing from
Oh,
the entire.
okay.
This one doesn't say that at all.
Okay, well, there were 4 to 6 people in attendance, so we need to add that.
You got your copy?
I had 6, but that works for me.
Oh, that's okay. There was 6, and you said 6 was
right
out there?
6 is fine,
Okay.
okay? And then in Park Commission, well, you got Mary Ellen Abatello, that's fine.
Yep.
Me and Cola.
Yep.
And at the bottom, Paulette has submitted by Jen.
Before that, there were 2 discussions. It was discussion dash discussion that we scratched off, just to make sure we get the same document.
Right,
Right.
and I didn't put it on mine, so.
All right, that's fine. Well, I was kind of going through one before we went through the other.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, the third thing on the document list was the draft minutes as amended.
Yep.
Right?
And it was
And
voted
in-
to accept this
Yeah.
amendment.
And in March, we hadn't started that note, so.
Right.
And so the only other amendment that Ron has was where it says discussion.
Yeah.
So we
We
only
need
need to
one.
say that one.
So we don't need to vote it again, we were just trying to get it up to snuff.
It's already been.
It's ready.
Yeah, it was approved. What was the date again? 3/25?
Yes.
325. It was
And what was
voted.
the vote?
300.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that what you had?
yeah.
So if we can get the doorknobs polished on that, and get that out of our hair, that'll be a wonderful thing. So we're gonna get emailed these 2012, these 3 sets of 2012 minutes that we're gonna review tonight.
And
August 1st of 2012, July 25th of 2012, and February 8th of 2012.
I know July 25th had come here once and went back for
A number-
something to be fixed.
a number of these had come
Right.
at least once, some of them more. So
All right.
I'm sorry, I forgot something.
So, now, we got through that nitty-gritty stuff, why don't we go to, jump around since Ted's here. He doesn't necessarily need to make a career out of this. And David was here just a moment.
Momentarily, yeah.
But, talking about the, special town meeting warrant,
I had a couple of questions that I thought might be helpful to explore. We could not get our finance committee gathered in its entirety for this evening, but we are meeting this Wednesday night, and Lars has considered this special town meeting warrant, which came to my attention about a week and a half ago. And I guess several questions
What-
come to mind.
Ted, what time on Wednesday? We meet.
7 o'clock here. And we would welcome at least one member of the select board, perhaps to come explain somewhat further background.
We've got some explaining to do.
Yeah. First of all, this seems to me the one roundup that we're planning to kind of take care of year-end transfers, which is perfectly appropriate. And I think as you explained coming in tonight, these are all items that are over $100. There are some other miscellaneous small items that are less than $100 that we, the finance committee, I think, can unilaterally address and take care of with our reserve fund, that $3,000 account, of which there's none that has been spent to date. And we'd be happy to do that, although we need to know when that list of small accounts is going to be ready for processing. I don't know how late we can do that, whether we can get enough people together to get a quorum, but the earlier I know that, the better. That looks to me like it's a finance committee meeting over and beyond this Wednesday night's meeting and beyond the special town meeting. So that's an important ingredient in our thinking and planning. I'm hoping, Mary, that you might be able to identify that for us.
I would expect that that'll be sometime between the 10th and the 15th of July.
Well, it's got to be Monday, by the 12th of July, as I understand it, doesn't it?
Actually, probably by the 12th to get everything in time for Catherine to enter it. So we could set it for,
It needs to be done by the 15th,
Yeah.
so.
do you have a preference?
I don't at this point. I'd have to check with my committee and figure out what we can do.
I can start.
How soon can we have the list, do you know?
um,
Wait till after June 30th?
I don't think so. I mean, I have a draft list, What I can start to do tomorrow is just check with
Why don't,
various departments or committees where it looks close, just to see if they think there's gonna be anything else.
why don't you and I work on that? We don't have to process that here, it seems.
Okay.
No, but if tomorrow night you wanted to poll your committee, I mean, it seems
Yeah.
to me like
That's fine.
the 8th, 9th, 10th would be a good time to do that.
As to the special town meeting warrant, I can understand and appreciate the first of these items, which has to do with using available funds to take care of the slight deficit that has been incurred by winter roads. This has traditionally been done at this time of year. That makes good sense. And clearly, the vocational school expense item, at the last reading I had, which I think is actually one report prior to the most recent one, showed $130,000 unexpended in vocational school budget. In fact, this is, I think, one of the bases for the savings that David Newell is projecting for this coming year. We're not needing to spend that much for vocational school. Expenses.
As of this warrant.
Yep.
That we just signed, the balance is 126,699.
126,699.
58.
About 100 Great. That makes sense. I don't think that's going to be controversial at all. The second item, however, wherein it's being asked that the town transfer $10,000 from those same vocational school expenses to an account to be established for the purpose of purchasing a police department traffic speed trailer. That seemed quite a surprise to me. This is about 1 month following annual town meeting time, and I'm a little baffled as to how a considerable capital expense like that would have been identified at annual town meeting time, which would seem to me a very much more appropriate place to consider various capital expenditures. So I guess my basic question is how and when was this need identified and by whom? Is this something new that's just cropped up?
Yes, I'll take that one. After the annual town meeting,
Yep.
I had a meeting with the chief, and we were going over a number of things, and as we were talking, one of his budget items that was cut was ours for patrolling. And as we were talking, it suddenly occurred to me, and as I shared it with him, he agreed, that one of these traffic trailers can sit in a location, 24/7 or all day long, where a vehicle couldn't with an officer in it. And the more we talked about it, it seemed like something that came up last year we had talked about once, but not in great detail. And I said, well, maybe we should pursue it as an augmentation to an officer, but all it needs is some sunlight for solar, and you can put it wherever and get statistics. And the one that Conway has is still going after 15 years, so even if I did 10 years, it's $1,000 a year basically, and I'm sure it's going to be longer, or I expect it to be longer. And it occurred to me maybe that would be a good thing to do now. We can get it fairly quickly. It can be patrolling Main Street during this time, July and August, where he's asked for extra hours or in the morning, and build up some statistics. Is there really speeding problems in different areas where then you need to put an officer to check on the speeding? So that, it did come about after annual town meeting. It had been discussed once or twice last year, but in general, not in great specifics.
So it sounds as though this is in lieu of reserve officer hours.
In my mind, yes. I'm not sure, I'm not putting words in his mouth. To me, I thought, ooh, this seems like a good idea because it can work, except in winter when they would put it away. But let's say you've got 9 months or 8 months where there's no snow, and it can be working for us.
Couldn't now work through the winter as well?
I believe it would work. It's driven by solar, but maybe you have to be careful where you put, I mean, you don't want a snowplow to hit it. Maybe speeding may be an issue in certain areas where you might want to put it.
Do we know what this costs? Is it $10,000?
It's between 9 and 10. He had a couple of different quotes from different people. I think one of the bids was $93.87 or $93.57.
Yeah, I wrote it down. that sounds right.
It has solar and it has statistics that you can download off of it to show you what's going on based on where you put it in terms of speeding. And what was it, Ron? I should have you speak to your reaction when you come upon one of those.
No, we unanimously voted for this. I wouldn't say it's a quid pro quo for reserve hours. We're not looking to reduce the reserve hours by $10,000. If you got that message, because you said this was in lieu of hours.
Well, we had reduced the budget by $5,800 by town vote.
Right.
And that was, I think, finding that we didn't need, we thought, the town thought, 7 additional hours of patrol time by reserve officers per week throughout the year. And that would have amounted to $5,800.
Yeah.
So effectively, I read this as the trailer will thereby be used and purchased and augment the police department because the reserve officer hours were not forthcoming.
Because what? I'm
The
sorry.
reserve officer hours were not forthcoming.
Right. I would say that's not necessarily incorrect to state that sort of thing, but it wasn't.
It's not incorrect, so,
It was not incorrect. The argument was made last year, as Paulette said, to
Yeah.
get the trailer
yeah,
also, because we thought it would be an effective tool.
Yeah.
And we didn't have the means to do that. We thought that we did have the capital means to do it this year. It's been an ongoing sort of thing. In the summertime, the speeds along the Main Street become excessive, and I know that last year we had some extra patrolling for that sort of thing, and we thought it's something we ought to pay attention to. We discussed setting aside money over the course of 2 years, but then we discussed the possibility of getting grants, and grants require a smart monitor versus a dumb monitor, which is about half the price, and we thought to be proactive, it made sense to put it before the town at the special town
you
meeting.
go through the grant part again. Are there grants for the purchase of something like this?
Yeah, they're, from what I understand, they're grants associated with infrastructure and such, but you need to have smart information that goes with it. If you say that during this period of time we have excessive traffic or something like that, but you can't just use the word excessive traffic. You have to show, numbers.
You have to document.
You have
Some
to document.
analysis, right?
And this monitor that we directed them to try to stick with is a smart one, supposedly. So we thought it was a good idea.
But those statistics could also be generated by people, is that right? By
No,
dogs?
there was a discussion that there was some fur cover equipment available with hoses that you run over and such, but it wasn't smart data. People who had used it in the past, it was only approximate and didn't even give accurate counts.
Is the police department currently receiving any grants that could be used for this piece of equipment, or does that have to be all bought with effectively what otherwise might go into our free cash account? Because if we don't expend the money for vocational schools, this unexpended money would roll into free cash. Is that not correct?
It's my recollection, he did apply, I want to say it was Maya. But by the time he did, so had the highway department and already received the grant, so he would have to start over. And then, so now it's another year, so.
Well, actually, my understanding was that he is planning to apply again. And when I saw him the other day, he said that he has it ready to go. That grant opens up July 1st. He will apply right
That's what I
away.
thought.
And based on that,
Maybe
But it
get
depends what
reimbursed.
happens with this, what he'll apply for, because there's some other things, if we had statistics that have to do with signs for the road, for crossings, there's all kinds of things he could apply for if we had some
Well,
statistics.
last year he applied in that grant round for a video camera to have in the cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pull somebody over and they spit at you or whatever, it was documented. He didn't get that, but the highway superintendent had applied for a trailer to have all the emergency, the signs if there was an accident or you're doing construction and the cones and all that fully equipped, and they got that. So.
Does that serve the police department as well as the highway department?
It would
Could
be,
do.
sure.
Yeah.
I would imagine they would share alike on that if they could get at it. But in our discussion with the police chief, there's a lot of good reasons for having one of these trailers that record the speed. I mean, as much traveling as I do, I know they have a definite effect. But my position as we discussed it would more to be, I'm all for the trailer. I think it would be a great thing.
Right.
Financially, I would be more set to appropriate $5,000 and look for a $5,000 grant for the other half. But I am behind having the trailer however the town wants it. Now, that doesn't guarantee that we're going to get a grant.
That's correct.
Applying for one and getting one.
So you're comfortable with the idea of asking the town to vote up to $10,000 to buy this?
My preference would be for $5,000 and apply for a grant for the balance. If we buy it for $10,000, our chance of getting any grant money for it becomes
Zero, I would think. How do you give expression to that preference then, Tom? This is what's puzzling to me. Why wouldn't this motion be for $5,000 with the expectation and anticipation there'd be a matching grant that we would seek as well?
I was in favor of doing the 10. Partly, we have some other big expenses, like for a grader, for instance, and it's to be used for good purposes, and I was sort of hoping that if we got this, which they're supposedly readily available, so we should be able to get one ASAP, put it on duty, and just maybe, since he did get fewer hours, maybe you could save on some patrol time to have that extra time for all those other things that come up that you didn't plan for. Remember last year, he needed more hours than he had, basically. And so,
For
if
investigations?
you didn't have to have all the officers on the road for whatever it is, 33 hours a week, and you could sort of hold some aside because you got the trailer on duty monitoring Main Street, you don't have to put an officer there. Maybe you could actually sort of bank a few and set a few aside and make it easier to hold some and manage that, so when you come to different events that suddenly come up like a storm, you've got that time. You haven't been using 33 every week. I haven't had that discussion with him yet, but I was hoping it might go in that direction instead of putting an officer on Main Street. Now maybe you run it for 2 weeks and then you put an officer because you find out between 2 and 3 that's when you've got speeders, but at least all day long it's running.
I think the select board is firmly behind it. In our discussion last week, Paulette and Ron didn't seem to have a problem with buying the whole thing outright. I'm for the trailer. I think it'll be a lot of good, but financially, I think it would be best, and we can discuss that on the town meeting floor.
Good. I think that's important, and the fact that you specify there are many good reasons for this, I think suggests that we ought to have a full accounting of all these reasons. I have to say, one of the things that gives me concern, and I'm speaking as an individual, not for the committee, but I'm anticipating Wednesday night, and I think I would share with the committee my concern that this looks a little bit like, after the fact, not having gotten money here, there's an end run to get money there because there's money available on the table. And it's not the police department per se, it's that general mentality that if there's money around, people want to sweep it up and use it for something.
Ted,
And I'm a little nervous about that kind of a precedent that seems to take hold. I don't know if that's what's going on, but I'm concerned about that.
Ted, I have to take, if you want to call it the blame for that, because as I was meeting with the chief, I said, oh, maybe we should have been looking for a trailer.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, maybe it's not too late. We still have some time in the year, maybe we could still get one, even though we didn't have it on the agenda for the annual town meeting. So, in all honesty, He did not bring it up to me, I brought it up to him.
Okay.
So,
And I'm not seeking
no,
to
but
assign blame whatsoever, but I think
no,
it's
no, it's
important
me.
that we explain well and carefully. And I can say, as I reflect upon it, the idea of a speed sign trailer is not necessarily inappropriate at all. In fact, this has been talked about a couple of years ago as a kind of useful piece of equipment. But I'm also mindful of how, in the past, when people get these police grants from the state, there seemed to be this kind of little fillip at the end of the year where you get a $3,000 package of money that the department gets to spend for various things. And we've bought bicycles and we've bought all kinds of stuff that I think after the fact, you kind of wonder if this isn't a fad of the year. I want to be real clear that we don't get into that role. I'd like all this stuff to be kind of a comprehensive package. Much as we talked about this idea, what's your concept for a police function here in town? And the idea of substituting capital here for labor, to me, seems like a very prudent kind of investment. But that's got to be a very strongly made case, I think, to ensure people understand why we're doing this. So I don't want to worry this further. I'm just saying,
And
those are my thoughts, and I think you ought to know this.
I think those are good points, excellent points. I think the thing that the select board will need to follow up with, if this article passes and we purchase it before the end of July, or we purchase it whenever we purchase it, is that it's managed.
Yes.
You don't want a $10,000 unit that flashes its lights and does all these groovy things sitting up at the highway garage next to some old rusted out sander.
No, and I think it ought to be a precondition for a purchase of this, if we do so, that there be some commitment to provide analysis and report as to how effective this is, what it portends for future traffic enforcement, etc. I think that's very important. Because indeed, this is where I think a lot of these things kind of slip between lip and cup. That they're acquired and they're not managed very effectively. So that would be trouble if that's what happened. Can we talk about the town common maintenance? This again is something I think totally new. And what I see here on your talking points is you want to reseed parts of the town common. Is it that threadbare that we need reseeding?
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, it doesn't look, when driving by from a distance, quite so bad now, because the weeds have filled in all the bare spots.
Well,
But
if you drive fast enough, you can't see it well either.
well, yeah, but then we're gonna get the trailer and it's
I know.
gonna slow everybody down.
I know. So these are related items.
There are, that's
Very
right.
clever.
So, there's a very large spot beyond the east end, just behind the Episcopal Church on the flat,
Yeah.
and two really large spots on the hill
It's 3 of
that,
them.
that are just, you know, they were just all tore up last year from insect damage and so forth. I mean, it's a gravel knob anyway, and last year with it being so dry.
How is town common currently maintained? I mean, who mows it? Who does any repair at all?
It's all volunteers.
Todd Dearly, was it?
Who?
Todd,
Todd Garrett, I think.
as a volunteer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has any maintenance other than the trees being planted that Harry worked
So there's no account for town common, it wasn't set up for that, but at some point, something has to be done, or this centerpiece of town that we're supposed to be proud of and appreciate having, is gonna resemble a junkyard without any junk in it.
My concern on is less on the looks, but if those two bare spots on the hill lose the roots that's holding the soil back, we're gonna have erosion there.
Yep.
And then it'd be a bad thing.
But if we're gonna have a town common, I would think.
Yeah, it should be.
And I really believe, I've spoken to a couple of people to kind of work up some proposals. I really think we're gonna be able to get it done with volunteer labor, and this money, whatever we use, would be for supplies.
Right. So that's
Seed, lime, those sorts of things.
and labor, I presume, if you're going to have a contractor come in and do some of this work?
Well,
Or just be volunteers?
I'm hoping that we can get volunteers.
And the grant and program income is projected to be about $19,900 after we take out that $2,000 for the history project. Is there any money coming into that account, or do we just keep drawing money out? How does that account get refunded?
That's an excellent question. I'm not sure what the dollar volume of income coming in.
And when, I can't remember if you were on the board, but when the board met with the Regional Housing Authority, one of the questions was where rounds of grant money, whether the board wanted to go back into a revolving fund that they had to offer to citizens or to come back to the town. And I believe that
The board decided to recycle that money.
you did, but I believe there will also be other opportunities in the future to make either decision again. In other words, that
I mean, grant program income really started when the Core Focus grant came for the Ashfield house originally
Right,
to do that.
right.
And that was the original. And then there were more block grants after that came back to the town. But I remember that was the first one that the money could come back to use on community projects. Sidewalks, crosswalks, all sorts of things.
Ted, did you think it should be coming from some other source?
No, that seemed like a perfectly appropriate place from which to draw it. That seemed fine. But I'm just looking at the long term, how that account will either get replenished or perhaps gradually get drawn down to year zero. The one on the taking some money, small amounts, from vocational school expenses to the municipal town clerk. Can we have that explained again? This is an account that pays for town clerk coming to take minutes or attend evening meetings? What's going
this
on?
is municipal town clerk, so it's Ann Dunn's
Yeah,
salary line item.
okay.
Go ahead.
Sometime, a number of months back, she had understood that there was a directive for her to submit on her line item when she worked hours over the regular hours. Having done that once, there was discussion, she quickly realized that would deplete the line well before the end of the year. She did not do it again. However, it leaves a shortfall in the last pay period, having done that. Other hours over the 25 have not been submitted or compensated. Next year, she will be salaried. And so this was a request to put that money in this case so that the final pay period of the year can be the full amount.
And this is different from that special project budget line that we set up last year. I think it was $1,500 or
Yep.
something like that. That's right. Is that all been extended?
No, but it is being expended, has been. We have some invoices.
We actually started with 1,500, put another 3,000 in.
Yeah.
And right now it's down to, for this one, it's down to 2,300.
I see.
So there is some money in there.
Would
So
that be
has-
a more appropriate place from which to draw this small amount of money or not?
Well, it seemed not. That money has not been used for any regular salary items.
Okay.
It has been used for some assistance with projects,
Yes.
but not for salary items,
But if
or to extend salary items beyond.
it's going to have a balance left at the end of the year, as we approach that date, then we will know closer, conceivably we could.
Right, if that's the question at town meeting floor, you could vote to take it from there instead of vocational, but it's such a small amount.
Right.
like I had mentioned when we were walking in, I mean, I had arbitrarily called $100 the cutoff when we
Sure.
kind of went over the accounts.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that when you come in on the final that there may be a few over 100, but I really don't think there's going to be very many at all looking at this.
Good.
Unless the select board goes nuts and decides we need to buy.
Is it projected that the special project account would use up all the $4,500 currently budgeted for that line?
Well, the 23
It's
is.
down to 2,300.
Right.
2,300.
And it's not clear, I'm not sure we have all the invoices on that. There are a couple of things that we're doing with that, including,
I would hope there would be a substantial balance left.
I would expect there will be, but there.
If there is, it would go into free cash, so
Yeah.
account for free cash, is that correct?
Yeah, I find it at the bottom, you've probably been following, I mean, the most recent expense report, the amount remaining is $398,000,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. There's a lot of things that are carry forward type balances.
Yep.
And some of them could get wiped out before the end of the year, but, you know, like the Belding Park restoration, I mean, there's 10,000 that's a carry forward.
Right.
But workman's compensation has $10,000 left in it.
Yep.
Unemployment insurance has 10,000 left in it. So I think we're in,
Great.
the transfer station has $18,000 left in it. You know, some of these balances will get drawn down. Highway labor has $28,000 left in it. Highway fuel has 19,000. That sounds like a lot, but if it get filled up with fuel again, it won't be quite so big as that. But, and of course, the highest is the 126,000 in the vocation. So,
Well, the price of fiscal success is eternal vigilance. This is good to see our select board working hand in glove with the finance committee to ensure that we have sound finances. This is very good.
I agree.
My question now is, how do we do with the auditor? This is a little bit off message, I recognize, but the two questions I have remaining are, where do we stand in this audit business? And secondly, are we not at some point going to have a grouping of various committees in town to look at kind of town-wide projects? Things that I think Tom at one point he thought might be the kind of things like looking at the firehouse and the infrastructure and the electrical works and big projects that kind of span departments but need some attention and would likely involve a variety of players, not just select board, not just finance committee, but others. So those are the two questions. And the auditor one is, you know, at the risk of sounding awfully peevish, these guys have been at this since when?
well, they've been at it for 8 months.
I think 12, right? Don't they start June 30th?
We got
No, but they didn't start June 30th.
They didn't start until October.
And they have been back a number of times since to continue to go over mostly highway FEMA reimbursement details. So they've scheduled, the most recent one was 4 weeks ago, something like that. Came back in, we got boxes of materials for them, they were here for the day again.
And this,
And I do know one other thing that delayed it, sorry, was this was the first time we did OPEB filing. It was new to everybody, and that, after they came, they gave her, OPEB is other post-employment benefits, and it tends to be an underfunded account for most. And there's some state directives to have it fully funded by a certain date. As I understand it, we're going to look all right on that, but it took a while to get there because there was some complicated reporting that was changed a couple times.
I think it's not an unreasonable guesstimate to say that by the time we get their report, it'll be December of this year, 18 months after the close of fiscal year 2012. And any kind of corrective action they recommend or something is way after the fact. It just strikes me as bizarre. And I don't know if this is characteristic of municipal finance or not. In the corporate world, you expect within 4 or 5 months to have something, as a downtown analysis that is finished. And I just wonder if this is being very well served. That was part of the motivation, I think, at the time we talked earlier about the virtue of looking around on occasion, not necessarily every year, but occasionally seeing if we shouldn't kind of compare one auditor firm against another to see if there's any difference that we can discern. And thereby a basis for maybe changing auditor for a few years. I don't know.
Wasn't there an agreement that we were all going to be on a biannual?
Yes, there's that as well. But that only saved us from the added expense of doing an audit for fiscal year 2011. They're just doing an audit for fiscal year 2012, which we all agreed was a simpler task and would seem quite sufficient, as agreed by USDA as well. So I think we're okay in that regard, but it still seems like a terribly long and torturous process we're going through. And I don't know how much of this is to be expected or how much of it's kind of unusual.
Now, their last representation, I didn't get to call them. I think I sent you an email, so I tried to call them again. I didn't. So their last representation was made about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was, they thought they would have us a report within about a month.
Okay.
And that was 4 weeks ago.
I think that was about 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago.
But I had said I'd call again. I haven't done that yet.
We asked for a waiver for 11, correct?
That's correct.
So we're going to be due to ask for a waiver for 13.
Correct. That's right. I think we have to re-ask. I don't think you can just
Yes.
expect it's going to be automatically extended
Right.
every other year.
And that's because of the RDA grant, or the RDA loan.
The highway loan. That is correct. Yes.
So if that's the case, we probably want to file fairly soon after June processing, early July,
But we got a
for
fairly,
fiscal 13.
we got a fairly
finished.
prompt response within a couple of weeks from
Right.
USDA in that case. So yes, but I think you're right, fall. And we will put that on our schedule as the finance committee, so we bring that back up to your attention and make sure that we get that in a timely way.
I actually don't believe we have any right to even begin to ask for another waiver until we get the audit
Well-
actual report for 12.
Right, see how we do. Right. Because
I'm
we're
glad
obliged.
you brought it up because it's at the top of the expense report and we haven't expended any of that.
Right.
You think they would be anxious to get paid?
You would think so, but there's 19,000 in that account right now, which is good. But they'll take about 10 or 11 of that when they bill us, I think.
How about, what would the board think about me signing a pointed letter to the auditors telling them that we expect the report before August 1st?
And along with that, do we need some kind of an anticipated bill so we can encumber the money?
I think that, I
Or
would,
does that roll forward?
I would believe that would roll forward.
Yes, it's an independent line for auditing, so that can be rolled forward. In fact, we've done that in other years.
So we don't have to cover that.
Okay.
How does the board feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I don't see why you don't say by mid-June, or by mid-July and try to get a bookkeeping squared away at the same time. I mean, push it.
I think with everything that's going on in
Yeah.
July as far as every town changing fiscal
Yeah.
years and doing all that, that they probably have some involvement there. But I would like to see us. August 1st would probably be as soon as we'd have a chance to look at it.
No later.
Right, that is, that we expect this to be taken care of, that we,
How did we, refresh my memory, if you will, when we asked for the waiver, was that under our pen or under the finance committee?
I think it was the select board.
Select
Well,
board.
technically, I think we submitted a draft. I think you looked it over, and I think you basically requested it.
So would it be unreasonable to expect that when we send them a copy of the management letter and the report, to ask at the same time for a waiver for 2013? Because here you are, we hope that you consider the following, all at once.
I think that might be a very good approach, although I'd like to look at the report.
Yeah,
Let's comb through it and see what it says.
Okay.
But I think on the basis of that, we might be able to say, here's the report. This covers effectively the last 2 years, and we would hope that you would be willing to authorize yet again an alternate year approach to allow us to do an audit for 2014 and avoid 2013. But
I would think one of the big things in that is, here's our audit for 12.
yes,
Here's the management notes that go with that audit, and this is what we're implementing to
Yep.
follow up on those, and that would give you a basis to ask for a waiver.
yeah.
Instead of saying, here's our audit, we threw it up on the shelf with the other ones that nobody.
Oh, no.
ever looked
I
at.
think we got to be seen to be responsive to the management letter. Clearly. And I don't know what the nature of that letter is going to be. We'll see.
If I recall, the finance committee helped to fast track that waiver, because the draft you're speaking of, I think, became a real document at a meeting.
And
We
called.
signed it and got it going because we needed to get that answer quickly.
Yes, we called a contact down at USDA, and that helped, I think, in some respects. He said, send it to this person and I'll get it taken care of. Or I'll have it addressed. He didn't promise it, we would take care of it.
Ted, one more question. Has the Finance Committee a recommendation for other consultants to use along those lines?
We've got a couple of names. Yes, we do. I can't pick them out of my head right now. One seemed to be particularly appropriate from what I can recall.
They did the work in Conway and.
Yeah, we contacted a number of surrounding towns and asked them who they were using, what their experience had been. A number were using the firm Scam Associates that we do. But in talking to some other towns, we got some pretty favorable reports about at least one other firm, and I think there was a third firm identified that was in the field of doing this kind of work. I don't know that there are a ton of competitors in this area. I mean, you're talking about auditing small towns and municipal finance. It's a pretty specialized niche, I think. And I don't know.
But that doesn't stop us from sending out requests for proposals.
No, and I think I'd have to go back to my notes. I'm not even sure we have to formally do an RFP.
It's over $5,000 you do.
Well, yeah, but I think auditing is different somehow. I'd have to go
That
back.
sounds familiar.
Yeah. But we're attentive to that, that if it were a requirement that we do an RFP, we would do that. That's correct.
It might just be good practice.
Well, that's,
regardless if it's required or not.
sure. That's right.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it isn't.
Is it?
But to your point, I wouldn't have an issue with you drafting a letter and signing it to expedite things here a little bit.
Issue, Paulette, that you can think of?
No,
Let's get this business done, right?
that's right.
That would be very helpful. I appreciate that. That's
All
great.
right. All right.
Should we vote?
Yeah, make a motion.
I make a motion that the chair draft a letter to the auditing firm to request and/or require that our report be completed by no later than August 1st, 2013.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Great. You had another point.
Last point was townwide projects. I don't know if there's an estimate of when this might be done. I know it doesn't have to be done immediately, but perhaps end of summer, early fall, something that would be kind of a roundup. We in the Finance Committee, for example, have put together a project list that we hope to undertake this year. Things such as better preparing for annual town meeting by ensuring that publicity is amply distributed ahead of time with sufficient lead time so that we don't have any embarrassing purported, lack of information about overrides or debt exclusions or what the nature of the agenda is and so on. We would like to make sure that gets well done early on. And I think working with select board, we can achieve that.
Well, we had originally thought, Ted, of having it next week,
Ah,
but
yes,
next week's a busy week
yes,
with the election.
right.
But there's the election,
And the
there's a
special town
hearing, the special town meeting,
Hearing.
and a hearing about tearing down all the buildings in the historic district. There's a bylaw hearing on that.
Oh. Okay,
No, it's about delaying.
okay.
So, it's a busy, busy week, and we thought of having this on the 25th,
Yep.
which happens, or the 24th, rather, next Monday. This room would all be set up for the election at that point.
Right, right.
So, and with everything else going on, and that's one of the things on our agenda is to reschedule that.
Good. Well, keep us in mind, please.
Oh, we
would-
want everybody to be.
We want to
involved.
be participants in that. For
So you're-
example,
So you're aware, we did go through and make a short list of things that we were short term that we wanted to get done,
oh, good.
you know. One
Is
of
that, is that
one of the,
available?
well, it's on my notepad here, but it was part of the minutes.
Okay,
But, you know, this, take care of this next dam, the solar credit business.
yep,
Working on the vocational transportation, we're well on our way with that, working with David.
Yep.
And thank you for sharing him.
Yep.
And Poppy Doyle are both working on that.
Good.
A little earlier, when we were approving the minutes, Ron was talking about the dam and the retaining wall. We
Yes.
want to do a site visit and kind of talk about that and get that, you know, those balls need to be in the air during the summer,
Mhm.
so we can make some progress that we can. The town common, doing whatever we need to do to get that shaped up. And November is going to be our performance appraisal month, where we're going to be going over, you know, doing reviews with personnel.
That's November.
Yes, we want to have those all done by December 1st. So that's quite a little list for us, plus the regular business of getting the grader bid out and, you know, those sorts of
Right.
things.
Well, and related to the performance appraisal, I think might also be the parallel study that we talked about in the context of the annual town meeting, as I recall, about the idea of compensation survey work. And I recognize that the Finance Committee was perhaps a little premature in suggesting we would take some role in that, but I understand the Personnel Committee has that in their charter or charge, that they're going to be undertaking something that would look at internal and external equity among the various positions in personnel in the town.
Paula?
Yes, it's on the list, it's been discussed. That we'd have to get going on that to have information before we really get cranking up on the budget process next year. Which basically means, you know,
So
January 1st, February.
the Mass General Laws on the Personnel Board doesn't put them to setting compensation, doesn't assign that task to the Personnel Board, but to compare and evaluate. Is that the idea?
I'd have to look at the bylaws again and quote what it says in there, but it's to develop information for the select board, I think, well, would include the finance committee as well. Perhaps make recommendations and then.
Right, to be a resource.
Right.
It's a full year, Ted, because we're also going through position descriptions, because before you can evaluate people, they need to know what they're being evaluated against, so
Right.
it's, we've got a lot on our plate.
Yeah.
You know what occurs to me though, when we were talking about the dam and the retaining wall now, when we're setting the meeting, which we already have an idea about, I wonder if any of the finance committee members, while we're talking about all that may be involved, would be helpful to be there firsthand to see if they're available.
Well, it'll be part of the meeting.
I realize that, but I mean, if
It's
we,
tentatively
since he's having a
scheduled.
meeting this week, it would be,
Tentatively scheduled for the 29th, you know, and it's at 9 o'clock. It would be,
That's a Saturday.
that's a Saturday, and we'd be going to the dam first, and we'd be going to the field second.
Yeah,
But keep an eye open for the announcement.
Good.
For details.
good.
And would it be
Next,
better?
next Monday, it'll give us a chance to look at the 7-day forecast.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I wonder if there's a time, I mean, summers are good, but they're also, people are out of town or they're vacationing or something. I wonder if this all board coming together for a meeting that we want to do the end of June, will we have to make that beginning of September or try to do it July or August and hope for the best?
I don't know. I really don't know if there is a good time.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a time when you would get everyone. My suggestion is you invite everyone and then have a smaller follow-up with people.
In my mind, I don't think we need everyone. If we had the chairman of each board to kind of talk.
That's
you know,
what I mean
give us
by
a little
everyone.
report of.
Right, but they need time to talk amongst themselves.
Sure.
So we really need to put this out there so they have time to meet to come back to us.
Well, we would welcome inclusion in that, whether it's summer or fall, although September, again, has its own pitfalls because everybody seems to be cranking up for schools and
So maybe August.
all kinds of
early August.
activities, you know.
But if we get it out soon enough, then all the boards have a chance to get together, so
Yeah.
if only one member comes, they're.
Time keeps marching on, waits for no man. Or
Well, I-
board.
And I'm mindful of that. I've burned up a lot of your time here tonight, and I apologize for rabbiting on as long as I have, but I appreciate your responsiveness and your good humor and your wisdom.
And I'll try to make it on Wednesday.
That would be lovely. We
I won't be able to tell
be
you.
more than happy to have you anytime. 7 o'clock here.
Okay.
Good. All right. Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
It's a-
Well, that wasn't terribly painful. The only thing on the talking
I didn't
points,
do my job.
the talking points on Article 4, I mean, I think the reason we said to it does say to transfer $2,500. I was gonna say transfer up to $2,500.
Well, once you get to
We
the
can make-
motion, so this can all be changed, but once you get to the motion, you're not saying up to, you are giving a definitive number, since I
So
didn't.
we can
know-
change that to up to.
Yep, and, the one between
We've
these,
been a number of years, we've been 10 years or 8 years without any maintenance at all, so I hate to think that it's a permanent line. But it does need some.
so I just put things down here with the idea that you can change them, so maybe something else.
All right. Anything else on the special town meeting?
Well, are you gonna go through this, so I can do?
Well, I thought we just did with Ted.
No, I put down who's gonna make motions, I put down the talking points, I put down the amounts of money that you're gonna ask for, those might change.
I mean, under the one that I'd be addressing, which is the third one there, I wrote down a bunch of stuff for my own talking points, since I have to deal with it, but there seems to be a lot of focus on the difference between the different accounts and special projects, and I wrote down that special projects was developed for assistance, but not necessarily for funding regular employees. It seemed to be an important thing that I just heard in this discourse. And that any money left over in special projects, which I've got to learn at that time when STM comes up, will revert back to free cash. We're going to discontinue special projects, correct? So those are two talking points that I just put in for myself to help explain it, you know?
Well, we won't have another warrant by then, but maybe we'll have special project. The special project is 231494 right now, and we won't have another
And
warrant.
we can keep an eye on if we have any other invoices.
I just
we're
asked
expecting, so we
Mary,
can give
what's
you
the
a.
deal? Yep. So,
I suppose there is a point at which there's less conversation and questions if it comes out of special projects, then why are you taking out a vocational?
Okay.
Because isn't it really a difference of which pocket you're taking it out of? Because they're both gonna end up in free cash.
Exactly.
Paulette, I just,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
no, but in Ted's discussion relative to what this looked like with the trailer, the speed trailer, I said, oh, it does kind of look like that, doesn't it, even though we didn't design it that way.
Right.
So we have to be prepared for an audience who looks at it that way.
Right.
And that just moved something in my brain, otherwise we won't.
Well, I think it's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question, but it's a legitimate answer to say that due to the fact that the police department is budgeting the same number of hours, and yet there's still a lot of requests to control speed in
Right.
town, that without increasing hours for, your idea of $1,000 a year,
Yeah.
we can still be doing something else and be doing that. I mean, that.
It's also an oversight. I know we've talked about it for the past 2 years, and it
Yeah.
just did not come up in the budget
Yeah.
process.
I don't think it was an oversight, it could have been brought up by any of the select board members or the chief, it didn't come up this time, but then
Well, it was an
as things
oversight.
moved on, there was a reason to look at it again.
Well, I mean, I've heard it, so it was an oversight on my part that it didn't kind of click, hey, let's talk about the trailer.
Wow.
But he had his agenda and it didn't occur to me to throw it out there.
Yeah, and we started out with an agenda of everybody was going to be damn lucky to get what they got the year before, so. Yes.
As long as we're looking at Article 2, you'll see the first talking point I put down, which I can check with Chief tomorrow. Perhaps I misunderstood, although if so, that was reinforced in the conversation I had with him today. I may have thought that he had said he was going to go ahead and apply for the Maya grant for this as well. And if there was an indication that that was going to be approved, because those are approved fairly quickly, then that might be part of the money, so that it might not take the full amount, so that I can take this out, or I can check with him to be combined with possible grant receipts.
Yeah, he talked about full reimbursement, actually, possible.
But I thought that was if this didn't pass,
No.
was what I thought was gonna happen.
When I talked to him today, he was still talking about putting in the Maya grant, and in fact, we were talking about the fact that with the 116, he came up to talk about, I sent him the 116 byway, and he came up and he said, "I'll put this into that grant as well for why we need to do some more traffic control."
But if we vote this, he won't need to use the grant to get another trailer, so he'll probably switch the grant to other items like he wanted for the vehicle with the camera and all of that. Then the trailer wouldn't be something he had to put in the grant, but he could use the statistics from the trailer to support,
I see.
at least that was my view, to support,
Yeah.
because there'd be no sense asking for grant money for the trailer if we approve this at the meeting. So that's probably, well, he can't file it until July 1 anyway.
If we vote $10,000 at this meeting, if we vote $5,000, is this a line, this will be a line that will be able to be carried forward?
It is I believe it's an account to be established, so it wouldn't be within the regular operating with the departments, I guess it would be able to.
So if the $5,000, if the crowd wanted
Takes
to put
2
$5,000, it would take, it might take an extra 3 months to get it or something.
Oh, I see.
It would be in the next fiscal year.
So,
But if they approve the $10,000, he can get right on the phone the next morning and go, get one.
right? And if they only approve 5 and he puts in the grant and the grant is denied, we won't have one for this summer. And so they're going to use up hours with people asking to patrol in different areas. I was hoping we would say patrol hours, people hours, to sort of build up, instead of using them all up every week.
Well, just have to prevail with the STM, see how it goes on the town.
I think a lot of it's gonna depend on management of it. You
Yeah,
know, the management of it, because you could still end up using the same amount of hours, you're not doing the radar and so forth, but you're doing something else.
Mary, is it possible that he's planning to attend that meeting?
The special town meeting we
Yeah.
did talk about is attended.
It makes sense. I mean, if there are questions, and this is something that could,
Obviously, he's a strong chief, but we have had the conversation about it.
okay.
I'll let you want to reiterate that to something,
To reiterate, that we could save some of those hours for
No,
the day we
no,
need more?
to have in the meeting.
Oh,
That probably would be nice.
So is everybody all right with who will make the motions and basically?
Yeah.
You want to change any of the amounts here in the motions?
I guess the only part I wouldn't, unless they're changing the amount of money, I don't see any reason to bring up the grant. And I
Yeah,
get
I
kind of confused, I mean, people say, no, we don't want to do 10, we only want to do 5, then we hope to get some grant money, because it's not going to change the price of the trailer, but we won't have it till sometime fall.
So for instance, you see on the first one, you had originally set up to 5,000. Looking at the expense report, it's 3,96343. Did you still want a different number there, or do you think it's settled?
That's it.
The other numbers that I plugged in the motion are as they were stated in the article.
Okay.
I think it's great. Should be easy peasy. Famous last words, right?
Do we need to vote on this or not? Vote
Just discussion. Stuart Harris, let's get back to Stuart Harris.
You should each
Bye,
have
ma'am.
a copy of town hall steeple repairs in the folder. Stuart said he didn't even need to come, but he would like to
Oh my.
have the board know.
Did you read this, Mom?
What's that? Yeah, I read it.
Well, I'm in no position to even go up there I am not embarrassed at all to say so.
Height is not your thing.
Thought the best thing in the world were the apple trees on trellises where you can reach them off the ground. I'm all for that. All right. So,
Most
what's
interesting.
he trying to think where we're gonna find $21,000? Is that what this is about?
Do we have that kind of money in our building fund?
We don't have it in our building fund. I did talk to them, to the building committee a while back, and they said we would hold money in the building fund till the end if they could get to some of these things rather than having it. A number of people can go into that account, so we sort of held what was there. But as you can see, that might be used for a little bit of preliminary stuff and not necessarily.
Well, didn't we talk about using the $12,000 or $13,000 really that's in town hall renovation accessibility to use for digging out the cellar hole?
That's right. There are many lists of work to be done in town hall. There's the cellar hole, there's the steeple, and then there are just some general building issues and doors and some
Stone panels and windows.
Did Stuart say, is the cellar hole still on the hot list?
It is the two people really working on organizing it. It's been very difficult with the amount of rain. A lot of things are behind schedule, both in the lives of volunteers, who have other work that they have to get to first, and also in terms of contacting crews for assistance, whether it's through the sheriff's office or not contacting, but those waiting lists are not moving as quickly as hoped, in part because of the amount of rain so far.
It's too bad we didn't have this a week or two ago, and just put it on the SDN.
No, Stuart, we were talking about it then. I think he just felt he wasn't ready
Ready.
at that point. No, I cast a pretty wide net looking for. And also, this work won't really happen until FY14 at this point, where the special is focusing on.
But there won't be any money for it. Because
I guess
free
that's
cash will be gone.
I guess that's my question for Stuart. Is, at what risk is the steeple at right now?
Is this cosmetic or is it structural?
I mean, when it says that one of the posts is missing on the north end, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound good.
No.
I think he thinks it's present. I know he had hoped to get it to the board. We talked about it on and off for at least 3 weeks, maybe more. He gave me an initial write-up toward the end of May that said hold it till it was ready. And in part it had to do with his going up and doing a really thorough examination into some of the issues up there. And again, in part, the weather has played a role in just things getting pushed.
Because I would think it'd be November, December before we hear again what the free cash should be, which means then you really can't touch it. You go through another winter and you're just bringing it.
Kind of leave out what would be available for stabilization.
To do it earlier. You had to have another special town meeting to do it, right?
I mean, it could be, it could very well be that the things that are structural problems could be done quickly. And then some of the ones that sound like they're a little more cosmetic could be set up to do next year when the weather improves. I mean, it's a list of 13 items. And I think they're all probably important, but there's probably 4 in there that are more important than the others, that could be prioritized. It'd be great if somebody wanted to go up there with Stuart and have a better understanding. of
I'd
what-
check it out, I'd be glad to. I mean, if he's willing to do that, I don't want to doubt that he's.
No, I don't think it's doubting a bit, I think it's having an understanding.
I'd be glad to snag him in the middle of the week if you guys want me to, and
I went up
Go
there
up there.
once, but it was,
I've never been up to
Oh.
that.
I don't even want to see where the door is.
interesting timbers up there.
My question would be, if you do that, I'd be very appreciative. And I think that $13,000 that's in town hall renovation, see if he has some idea of how many of those dollars are going to be used on this cellar project. Because that could mean that there's 4,000 or 3,000 that could be used to do the high priority things.
Even if we replenish it, maybe? Said he wasn't, that was later on in the year or something, and this other stuff was a higher priority, and we could have an SDM or something.
Can't we authorize using some of that grant money at the discretion of the select board? And he said there was going to be 19,500 roughly, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one that we can vote to use it without doing a
Well,
special town meeting.
Except that we have been strongly advised by DUR that
Because we
while
already
it's under
did
the
it
management of the
last year.
select board,
Right.
but we did this last year, we did it this year, that we do get a town meeting vote in the select board.
Because we were normal through that.
I know, when we did in the end, actually take it to the special town meeting back then.
I don't see any reason of not going. I mean, the grant program incomes are good. I've always been kind of a proponent that if you're going to spend that money, you should go to town meeting even though you don't need to. How's everything at the park?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
See, 1 hour, we're good.
It's kind of in our face, I think.
Sorry.
But they voted.
And that is what DOR says.
But we voted some money for town hall for 14. We voted money,
Oh, yeah.
we have this money plus what we voted for fiscal year 14 at the annual. I don't have that in front of me.
Mine's at home too.
But that's all right. But if you could do that research, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, now, how is this gonna get done? Is this up to the town hall, the building committee to go out to bid? Do they, I mean, that's a whole bunch of logistics
I
that
think when you get into this discussion,
it's gonna be Stuart.
I think you're gonna find that this $21,000 at the bottom, my guess is they've got a plan to make it less than that.
Okay.
Probably some materials purchased, some labor.
All right, well, I'll report back next week. All right, I'll see if I can get up there with him over the course of this week.
Yeah, no,
So for town hall expenses for FY14, and I have not checked this against the certified yet, so the great result is 12,900. We have 18 plus for utilities, but just the 12,900, or 12,900 for town hall expenses, not all of which is spent by the building committee, but we can take a look at that and see what we think would come out of that, and what would be available.
yeah, we figure out a way to manage it. But we've got that equal amount that's in here already. So there's a way through that deal. Great. So we'll expect a report back on that next week, we hope, if you
Okay, do you want me
Get
to
this
do
done.
that in the liaison section, or do you want to invite Stuart to come to
You
us?
could invite Stuart again.
Okay, be on the agenda.
I did tell him He was certainly welcome tonight.
What's that?
It was his call not to come tonight. I put it under appointments in case he wanted to. He said he'd let me know.
Okay, well, I'll talk to him.
Tell him that if he would come in, we'll make sure he's first thing.
Well, I can do that, huh? Okay.
Agreed.
It'll be first. Yeah, okay. Under appointments.
All right. Net metering. Have we got a reply back from Donna McNichol?
We did not. I last exchanged emails with her on Wednesday. I asked her if it would be ready for Monday. She said she did not know if it would be ready for Monday. I told her I was going to put it on the agenda, and if I didn't receive it by the meeting, then we would move it forward. Didn't receive it. Just to put it in the news.
A reminder, we want to do it in Word.
Oh, she knows every time, in Word, and it's track changes, and she also knows that we're eager to get there as soon as possible. There may be other people who would be interested in signing a post and so forth. I did also, I sent that to her right after, I think it was the next day, I got the Word copy to send to her from NextAm, and then talked to the sewer commissioners. There had been a representation that NextAm people had made at a meeting I'd been in at, and Brian and the down at the sewer plant, that they did not reiterate when they were here. So talked to Betty, who had a sewer commission meeting last week, about their putting together the language as they remembered it, and then I got that to town council and asked her to add that in. It was language about not holding us to whatever number we choose, say it's 80%, or if we fall down to 70%. That we would not be stuck with the extra credits. So asked her to add that in.
So, I think what's important is, personally, is I think we need to schedule this public meeting just so we can discuss it with whoever's interested to come before us to discuss it and just go over it one more time. I'm getting the feeling that the board is pretty much behind, let's get on it and take advantage of it. Is that correct?
At least starters with sewer, and then make up their mind whether it's the whole town or not. The big impact seems to be the sewer. That's where the big savings is.
It kind of makes sense to me. I can buy into your approach, but sounds like a proactive thing, a way to save some money and longer run.
I mean, if it's a 20-year agreement and you really only save a significant amount of money the first 10 years, it's still a significant amount of money that's being saved.
And if we think we should do all the town buildings, well, that's fine too, but we know initially the biggest chunk is the sewer.
Is there a reason not to do all the town meters? If we decide to do the big one, is there a reason not to throw the others in?
They didn't want to do all the little accounts.
Yeah, some of the miscellaneous ones that were more maintenance than.
But that's where some of that other savings is going to come from, because didn't he say then half again as much as all the...
See, I heard him say that it wouldn't be a problem.
That's what I heard.
He says it's just the way it's set up and the report gets a little busy, but he said it.
He said he
From what
didn't.
I understood, he didn't feel that that would be a problem.
As I understood, he even said, including the water department, even though he understood that it was not strictly some municipal.
I thought he said he didn't want to do all the little accounts because there was a lot of legwork for them to do.
I think the only meter that he really was thinking was a waste of time was the sewage pumping station down on Bronson Avenue.
Well, that's why I'm looking forward to getting it back from Donna and pushing on it. I want to see how far we can push. And
Well,
Isn't this whole time, I want to do them all though, and not just have them say, well,
Pick and
I don't want to
choose.
do that little, no, we'll do them all, might as well
Make
do
it
all the
clean.
savings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah. But the idea of this public meeting would be for us to have one more discussion with any of the general public that wants to be informed and have an idea, because we're ready to push forward and take advantage of it. Is that?
And we're going to bring them back to discuss it.
Right, but that's going to be the negotiation between between the select board and Nextan. And then we're gonna, it's up to the select board to sign the agreement.
No, but I mean, the public forum is to make sure they're there to answer questions, next thing, not us.
That kind of makes sense. Would you have the public forum after we've reviewed the contract? Because if there was something in the contract that was not a good thing to do, and we said we're not interested in the business, it'd be silly to have the public forum, you know? So I'd suggest that we hear from Donna real quickly, because he said he was going to 2 or 3 other towns, but we've got to do what's right for us too, you know? And I'd hate to have the public forum and waste people's time if we decide, if we find out he's gone to Buckland, or we decide we don't want to sign the contract.
Well, I think all we can do is press forward.
Yeah.
I don't think we can, sit here and play chess and scratch our forehead.
No. But do you,
I think if we schedule the public meeting, this forum, it's not really a public hearing, but a public meeting,
Just an informational meeting.
for the 26th, after special town meeting.
okay.
And that would apply some leverage to Donna to get us the material back from her
That's a good idea.
by Monday. Have the meeting on Wednesday after the special town meeting.
And
We're gonna be
Nexum
here.
be there.
We're gonna be here anyway.
Have Nexum and the fellow from Hampshire Power or Hampshire
I think that,
Cog.
For that one, that's coming quickly.
It's a week.
Try to get them.
It's 10 days away.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder how we tell them what time to come. How long would you say for the special town meeting? Then
45 minutes.
next thing does come out from Boston and heads back, so what time do you think?
He's got to be here, absolutely.
So 8.
8 o'clock.
And if they're here earlier and the meeting ends earlier,
Yeah.
well, but you can't put people 8 o'clock.
And then discuss it at 7:45.
Then I would,
If you think
I think-
45 minutes, call it 7:45, and he can wait around a little
yeah,
bit.
if you tell them to be here for 7:30. May not be any bigger crowd than we've got tonight. It's a nice night.
I would expect.
And if he can't make it, then I'd be concerned about having it, because there could be some technical questions that we can't answer, and Brian can't answer, perhaps.
So I think that's the thing, is we want to, I think if we contact him, Mary, and say, we want to move forward on this,
Yeah,
and the
that's an
select board's
information
going to have one more
Right.
meeting with the general public to go over any questions they have, and then we want to move forward on this.
And hopefully we can get Donna's response by next week, maybe. right?
We have to. I mean, that needs to be the email tomorrow to Donna.
Yeah, she was
We-
wet. She
We must have,
said that it was unlikely that she would have.
and you can forward that to all of us by email, so we can have it before next Monday night. Yes?
That'd be fine.
Absolutely.
What, forward the contract as soon as it comes in?
Right, forward it to
Her
us as
response.
soon as her response to the
Yeah.
contract. So we'll be all set, we
Yeah,
can
but-
discuss it again Monday night, special town meeting on Wednesday, bang.
How do we let people know about a special town meeting?
We don't,
Not a special town meeting, sorry, about an informational meeting on, nobody's even going to understand what it's about in terms of
maybe we need to
an
make it,
energy savings contract.
what if we make it a select board meeting and that's the only topic following the special town meeting? And the intent is to have it be a public forum on that meeting. Then we can get it out there, get it posted, and
Well, I was gonna say, we could even buy, it seems though we could get enough press, by just getting a hold of Diane and Ginny Ray. I mean, they got plenty of time to get it into the Independent.
That you're having a public information meeting,
On
possible
Wednesday.
name during contract.
I think what you should also do is say, as per the article, of the annual town meeting, right? Because we had an article in there that would allow us to do that. You can't get any more direct with the town people that that's what that was, you know?
so Plan B has to be, what do we want to do if they say they're not available, because they're already scheduled for something else, is to ask them what their next available date
That
is,
would be the next.
so that we can get ahead of it.
Yeah. I mean, if we needed to buy advertising, we have $465 in select board expenses.
So informational meeting, held by select board, 7:45 PM, Wednesday, June 26th. To be held by select board.
Because our next meeting after the 26th won't be until July 8th. Right?
No,
Or are we meeting July
First.
1st? Oh,
right,
and then we're skipping the 8th.
right, that's what I had from the last time.
So
So 1st and 15th,
I have the
Right.
1st and the 15th.
that's
Those are both
right.
warrant
I get my
dates.
weeks backed up.
those are on Tuesday. So informational meeting to be held by the select board to share information about and discuss about
Public comment
public comment,
before,
a net
before the
metering
final.
energy saving contract. No, this is the contract that appeared as article whatever in the special
Right.
town meeting, authorizing the select board to sign the contract.
The 20-year contract.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Right.
So if they can't do it the 26th, we'd ask them to do it on the 1st.
That's fine.
Sure.
We can't get the players.
Sure.
All right.
And if I talk to the reporters and they don't sound excited about doing anything about it, then go ahead and place an ad in those two papers.
What is more exciting? Keith is getting along great. What else are they gonna put in the paper? Except Orange not being able to get anybody to show up at town meeting.
Or,
Whatever.
so we said if not 26th, then
July 1st.
July 1st.
Right.
I have a special request, and since we're talking about dates, we are supposed to meet every other week in July and August. It would be tremendous for me if those few meetings could be on Wednesday instead of Monday in the summer. So instead of the 15th and 17th, the 29th and 31st, and then there's two in August, skip the first week of September, and then on the 9th, go back to Monday. Is that possible?
Anything's possible. Would that be an issue for you?
Both, I've got them scheduled for Monday, but my Wednesdays are free, so.
I don't see an issue. I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone in August. So, and I'm gonna be, so I would be missing when's our Wednesdays in August?
It would be the 14th and the 28th,
That's the one I would miss any.
because you were going to miss the 12th.
Right.
Okay.
But my question on that, Paulette, is that we've gotten into kind of a mode on these warrants, signing them and doing them that way. We'd have to go back to the old way of doing it.
Come in on the weekend and just sign it.
Mhm.
for those. And we're liable to be on off weeks anyway, or are we in
No,
sync?
it's-
Are we in sync? Oh, okay. Just those
There
four?
was method to the madness.
So would we change July 1st to July 3rd?
No,
No,
leave that
July
July 1st.
1st will stay the same.
That's it.
We won't change the schedule until July 15th. July 15th becomes the 17th. July 29th becomes the 31st, correct?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to.
Becomes the 31st. August 12th becomes the 14th. 26th becomes the 28th. Then skip the first week in September and then we're back Monday the 9th.
That'll work, that'll actually work there, because the 26th is on me.
And
It's
I'll
the day after coming in fair.
check my own schedule. I've already made summer plans, but we'll check and see if one one of us can be here and do postings and that sort of thing.
That's fine, that's
That
fine.
would help.
That sounds
Thank
great. Good time to take care of it while we're talking about it.
So from the 15th of July, we are on Wednesday, which starts on the 17th of July, so goes through the 28th of August. every week.
Right, the 2 meetings in July and the 2 months.
So you're clear, Mary, on what we want to do on this informational meeting? You can pilot that ship.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, Paulette,
Whoops.
sorry. I didn't have it on my calendar, but I have knowledge in my brain that I'm going to be in Maine on the 17th, that same week. So if you want to reschedule that, we get together up on Swans Island, my extended family and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's Wednesday to Wednesday.
Dang, that's the 24th too.
So these 2 days are going to be bad for me.
The 17th through the...
Yeah, see, I had worked it out because we were meeting on the 15th. I'd be okay if we met with the one exception on the 15th, or if we reschedule. I mean, I'm going to be out from the
Well, the warrant,
17th to the 24th.
the warrant needs to be signed.
Yeah, but only 2 of us have to
Right.
reference that, right? So I could meet on the 25th, or I could meet on the 16th, the 15th, 16th, or something like that, but I won't be here from the 17th through the 24th
Of July.
of July. Sorry about
So
that.
if anything big happens, you're in charge.
Oh, yes.
Well, that's why I was okay with the 15th. I scheduled it around that. But every other Wednesday is fine with me. We can wait till we get a little closer to figure it out.
All right. So the 24th, we're still on to decide on the 29th.
Correct.
And you said that's only going to take a couple of minutes on
It
next
is.
week.
I had already, if we can jump into that now,
Yeah.
are we okay?
I'm there.
I had given you guys packets last time we talked about Field and the emergency plan, not the emergency plan, the dam plan is in there. I gave everybody copies. I could give you a PDF of that also, but I thought I sent it. I can't remember. I have it scanned, so I could give you a copy, but it's huge. So I have to bring it next week on a stick, and you could download it, or a CD would fit too. I'll make a note to do that. But I talked to Doreen Nolan today and asked for her permission too, because I thought we had an easement going right up to the lake, but it doesn't appear that there's an easement for the town to go up onto the dam. And she said, absolutely, anything for the town, feel free. I told her the plan, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that's, so next week I just want to talk about a little bit about it at that point.
Have you had any discussion with the property owner at the retaining wall?
I have not, because I wasn't planning to gain access to their property on that, and I didn't want to, it actually extends to a couple of owners. I mean, it goes over in the Rockies too, in that direction anyways. I didn't actually survey it or anything, but our property goes in, their retention wall is leaning too.
I was thinking, wouldn't it be good to include them? A special
It probably
invitation
would.
to the public meeting?
You probably would. I could give the fellow a holler and
And John,
whoever they are.
and John and Cass too.
Yeah. I think they probably know that. So, yeah.
If John is staring at the wall leaning in, he's probably got some pretty good ideas on how to stop it.
How soon do we want to get that meeting out there posted? I mean, I know technically, you need 48 hours in advance, but don't we want to get it out there a little
I don't see anything getting in the way of it now. After I talked to Doreen, she was the last one because we're actually driving across her property to get up on the dam. So I
Okay.
feel comfortable with posting it as soon as possible. And I get there a few minutes early with Tommy and Doug Field to just park laterally there, and people can either walk up there or if they're handicapped, inaccessible.
So Do you want to send me some wording for that and I'll post it tomorrow, or should I ask you now? I just want to be clear what the wording should
I would just
say.
say a field inspection of the,
Saturday, 29th, 9 AM, select board meeting.
yeah,
Gathering where, or convening where, or opening?
and access west of Decker Machine Shop, right? They go by Decker Machine Shop. Decker-
Down there, Main Street?
Yeah, so access, look for signs, I'll have a sign there. Okay, and that'll be at 9 o'clock,
It's the west side of the spillway.
west side of Spillway, handicap access, west, on driveway, west of Decker Machine Shop. I think we have to be pretty clear on that, so people know how to get there.
And do we have to then have something for the other one where the handicap access is gonna be for the wall?
The Sanderson.
For the other road?
So, why don't originally I wanted to talk about this on the 24th, if that's okay, which is a week before, it's a Monday of the Saturday before. I'll have some stuff written out for that posting at that point,
Okay,
without having to.
So we post it, yeah, we have it,
Post it
if we have it Monday, have it all prepared Monday, post it Tuesday morning or Monday night.
Next Tuesday, not tomorrow.
yeah,
Right,
Okay?
so I'll come up with words for that,
that's okay.
We may have it, Ron may have it all prepared, so one of us may actually go and stick it on the wall ourselves for the experience, as
But we also want to get it out online.
Yeah, so I'll put it in online, we'll take that and then put it out
yeah, if you wanted to do it online, say, please look for official notice, forthcoming or something like
there.
that.
Well, usually what goes on is the agenda. If you want to send it to me, or get together with me, just so I know I have the details right.
Yeah, I would just want to share with these guys a little bit, because in case they have creative ideas, I want to
Okay.
include them.
Well, I think that would be soon enough to have it out Tuesday or.
Yeah, I think it's plenty of time. Good. And meanwhile, I'll look at who that other abutter is too.
a.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. And then
It would be a courtesy.
so respectful.
Are we inviting Tom Poisson?
Yeah,
Besides the
because
I mean,
He's-
special to,
he's on that side, and he might have some creative input on the retention wall too, because of the road.
and maybe our new assistant management director.
Yeah, hi.
He was asked to be.
He could take in more of it. Okay, good. What's this old business cooperative procurement bid for police service equipment?
Chief Droney brought that up this morning. It's with the Plymouth County Commissioners. I think he mentioned it.
With
The last
the
time-
Franklin County Commission?
No,
What are they?
Plymouth County Commissioners. Last year, he used the Greater Boston Police Council bid cooperative. And felt that that one was not as valuable as this one. You wouldn't do that one again this year regardless. This one is $300 to join, then you don't have to go out to bid, they do all the bidding on all the items. He said it is of use to more than the police department, that there are things that the fire department could use, or the highway department could use, that, as you'll see there, it's got a $300 fee. He thought ideally that would not come out of the police budget, maybe be shared among all who might use this. He gave as an example, might be able to save a couple $100 on the trailer. Generally, these cooperatives, according to him, that will get.
It's not
Well,
gonna
what
come
did
out
he not want to do?
Not have it come out of the police department budget.
No, when he said he did one last year and he didn't want to use.
Oh, he didn't want to use the Greater Boston.
Oh, Greater
Police
Boston,
Council again.
okay.
Cooperative.
That one's at Plymouth, I just wanted to make sure I was, which one?
categories of products that will be bid and may be purchased by participants: duty gear, holsters, belts, etc. less lethal products and delivery systems. You know, the tasers and pepper spray and all that stuff. Radar, body armor, police wear and tactical equipment, firearms and ammunition, video systems.
I can save money on ammunition, they're supposed to practice, that's not a bad idea.
Biohazard products. Masks, suits, boots, detection equipment, and antidotes. Highway safety equipment, flares, stop sticks, cones, tape barriers, etc. Communications, mobile data, computers, radios, and investigative products. So it's going to cost $300. They need to have the questionnaire by June 24th. Participation cost is $300 for the life of the contract, which runs for 1 year. With the possibility of a 1-year extension. The check can follow, but the letter and questionnaire are needed immediately to give them an idea what we need, the quantities they are bidding on. We participated, the town participated last year? In a different one?
In a different one, in Boston, Greater Boston Council.
Was there a fee?
I believe there was, I didn't ask him what the fee was.
Does anybody remember what account it got charged to last year?
I never saw it, so I would assume that I'm thinking it came out of the police department, but I'm not certain. I never saw it.
Oh, here's the list here, the questionnaire. Just what I just read off. Radar and message boards.
Anything in there, as you read it, I didn't hear one, but I wonder if they have any of the equipment he wants to get with the camera in the vehicle.
Yes, it says surveillance or
Highway safety equipment.
video. The video
Oh, there it
system,
is. Okay.
station vehicle. Well, I just can't think up a magical account to bill the charge the $300 to. I don't have a problem participating in the bid.
What's he looking for?
$300. But he'd like it not to get charged to the police department. It sounds to me like
That's where it belongs.
that's where it belongs. I don't see anything there that the park department is. Although maybe the wife there on occasion could see where she could use a taser. But
Probably.
I said she, is it, I haven't even been up, is it?
Judy Delaney?
Judy,
Judy,
yeah.
actually, there are 2 or 3. Molly's and a few others.
Judy doesn't need a taser.
I don't know what he needs for any of this, but one would hope that maybe over the course of the year, if he could save $300 in terms of things he was going to buy out of his budget, it
Well,
comes back.
they only have about $2,000 worth of stuff in the budget. I guess that's the question. If you're paying $300, how much can you possibly save off of the, you know, a $2,500 equipment or supplies line item?
Let me ask
The big one would be
another,
the trailer.
a parallel situation. Didn't we do this, something like this with the highway, with FERCog, the bidding? And when did that come out of, when they did that? Did that come out of the highway
I
department?
think that
No, there's a for procurement
We
line,
have
isn't
a
there?
procurement line, and as I understand it, it's somewhat different. They will help you go out to bid and do bids with you. Sounds like this is one where
they did a whole list of things that everybody uses, right?
Right.
They're all going to
they
use.
just have bids out there.
They're all the like, this, that.
Yeah, it did not, but it didn't come out of the highway budget.
Oh, it didn't.
And
So
so that
maybe-
point, he's true, yeah. Is it,
I don't have a problem
Do we
with
have-
participating if there's a chance for real savings. But if we're paying $300 and we're only buying, you know, I just just don't believe you're gonna save 10% over just calling and getting 3 prices in Franklin County.
The only option would be the trailer. That you could conceivably save money on the trailer.
He said he thought maybe a couple $100.
So if you save a couple $100 there, then if he's, you know, if they're buying ammunition, because once a year they have to go, it's expensive. Is it the kind of thing, do we have the discretion to use our select board money for that?
No, I bet we do.
And would we want to?
I would.
I'd love to know what we did last year if we went after this. I can't remember it.
I don't have any problems if he wants to spend the $300 to let him spend it, but he has to decide if that's a good management.
If it's worth it.
Mhm.
If it's a good, because he has to look back and see, and it's a relatively small part of his budget that's there. And he already had bids through the state, just the same as the cruiser on the wagon.
I see. Remember, if we do the trailer, that's not his line item. He's getting the trailer, but that's not his line item, so he'll never see $200 worth of savings. The town will save $200 on a trailer,
Wow.
but it won't show up in his budget to save the money.
Is that how we really look at things?
No, I'm just saying, I'm talking about, that-
I know, but I just
So
hope
like you
that, I
said-
really hope that that's not the way we think of things.
no, but what I'm saying is, for him to spend 300, to save 300 over the course of the year for all this stuff was what I was speaking to as your point, because he's not gonna see the 200 if you save 200 on the
Right.
trailer, because it's not his line item. I'm talking out loud, so,
I know, but,
yeah,
yeah,
he's not looking at it, I'm looking
okay, that's
at
right.
it. No, I don't mean him, I mean me.
When does this have to be acted on?
24th?
Well, they do the questionnaire by the 24th, the check can follow.
I see this as a police department.
I think it's really an issue that we don't even need to talk about. I'd send it back to him and say, it's your budget, manage it.
Thank you.
Huh? I mean, do you see any reason for us to take action on it? I mean, he knows how many holsters he needs, or,
I think it's due by July 15th, it says. And there's nothing that says select board signs, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah, you can't, I mean,
if he
I
looks
think
at
your
what he
point
wants.
was, why spend 300 if you can't save 300?
Yeah, I don't think he's got that big a,
And last year we were
Budget.
getting a vehicle. So that may have been part of what,
I don't think he even had to pay for that. I think that's part of the state procurement bid. I don't think he even had
they
to do
didn't
that.
do it
I
then.
think the Greater Boston one didn't have a fee with it.
No, I think
State.
that's the state. You got the
And actually,
same stinking police cruiser that everybody.
That's right, and actually, although he gave me the name Greater Boston Police Council procurement bids last year, he did say that's how money was saved on this.
Right, because they bought 6,000 of them instead of one for Ashfield.
So if he thinks it's a good idea, and that he thinks he can reap the benefit of it for the police department.
He's a strong chief, he can take responsibility. It's fine. All right. Old business. There's Board of Health responses to the Attorney General's request.
And
Is that in that's in your file?
it's
not in mine?
just here, and maybe Susan would like to speak to it. I put it on here just because I think you said that there's just to get, so the select board would have it for information. Just courtesy.
Yeah, one of the complaints was related to the meeting in January in which we were going to have a joint executive session.
Did you
but-
say meeting or beating?
Meeting,
Meeting.
I said meeting, ha ha. And I believe the person who filed the complaint had sent copies of all of her documents to the select board as well. So I just said copies. The only thing I didn't send to you were copies of the audio recordings that I submitted to the Attorney General's office, and I have copies of the audio recordings in our files.
And I also know, because I often look at it, that there are recordings, I don't know who does it, but there are recordings of every select board meeting on Vimeo. I think there are Board of Health meetings as well.
On Vimeo?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. But with the
So this is just,
select board want copies?
It's just our response.
it's just your response.
Yeah, they asked for additional documents, minutes, any audio or video recordings that we had. I just sent what we had. So,
So we'll attach these as documents to our members,
Sure.
since we received them.
So basically, you're including us because we were included in the initial one.
exactly.
Letter 10 will be what we read. Okay. And it's just something more to fill up the file cabinet. But we should be expecting some response from the Attorney General if they have all the information now.
Yeah.
Oh, contract for recycling.
And that Tom brought in this morning, and I have this all to you. The first part of the package, Tom, is if you choose, or some pages on town letterhead. They would need 3 signed by the chair alone. And then the fourth one there, you can just sign that one for the file and keep the original in the file.
MRF. Remind me what MRF stands for. This
Well, it's coming
contract
from
for
this,
MRF Recycling Hauling Services.
and this is coming,
Massachusetts Recycling
I should pass, I should.
Fund.
Municipal.
Municipal Recycling Forever? I don't know.
Yeah. And I know what it came,
That's the problem with little abbreviations like that.
and it came from the Hilltown Recycling, HRMC, who I believe did a bid on the haulers, and the information is there on the bid for Ashfield.
Says
Quoted
this,
as a 2-year
this
bid.
contract for MRF Recycling Hauling Services is being prepared by the Hilltown Resources Management Cooperative that we belong to and have been since the beginning of the transfer station, between its member town of Ashfield and Dave Wickles Trucking of Hatfield for its transfer station located, they say it's located on Buckland Road. It's Ashfield Mountain Road. Yes, it's Ashfield Mountain. Contract information for the parties involved is as follows. The approved contractor will provide MRF recycling roll-off box hauling services to the town for the 2-year time period, July 1st through June 30th, July 1st of 13 through June 30th of 15. The contract may be extended by the HRMC for the time period of 15 through 16 if the HRMC chooses not to combine the recycling and disposal bidding contracts. So this is just for the recycling. So why am I not seeing a price on here?
Maybe at the very back of the package, there are 2 pages, shows 35 is highlighted, 35,000 I believe, which is a 2-year bid. As to Buckland Road, I don't know. Tom seemed to feel that it was pretty pro forma. Was just asking for signature.
It looks like all of these have attached the last page that I'm supposed to sign.
They do. What I did,
Oh, okay.
Tom brought it in. What I did just before is I made 4 sets of the first and 7th pages, which Eric suggested should be on town letterhead. The rest I will make copies of what's in between. So the 4 that you have are just for signatures only on the first page, or page 7.
Okay, here's from Hilltown Resource Management. This is from Eric Weiss. The attached contract is between the town and the hauler for the hauling of recyclables to the Springfield Material Recycling Facility, MERF, Material Recycling Facility.
Very good.
And it's not even highlighted, but it has been prepared by the Hilltown Resource Management Cooperative on your behalf. This has been a long and complex process involving the HRMC setting up the bid process while also receiving feedback from many member towns. The result is an estimated savings to the region of over $6,300, $2,100, over $2,100 a year over the 3 years of the contract. I have reviewed all proposals in accordance with the RFP criteria and confirmed the pricing submitted with the hauler. To become official, the contract requires the signature of town CEO at this time. The best process for contract signatures and approvals is as follows. This is the front page and the town letterhead, and you get that. Send 3 copies of the signature page. I will forward the contract to the contractor and instruct them to send the town executed contracts. The contract will start on July 1st, so this is a little bit under the time. So the bottom line is, it's $160 to move a recycle box.
To move,
One recycle box. $160 per haul. What, do you know what it is now, Lynn, when you process the bills for the
No,
recycle?
Tom does all his own.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering what it was in.
I don't know, but he did say he was pleased it was a good quote. So perhaps that was in comparison to the last one of these.
Oh, I see. It's $160 plus a fuel surcharge.
I was gonna say. $160 is cheap.
Because the next thing it says, it says the contractor will also be applying the federal on-highway fuel compensation charge, fuel surcharge, in accordance with fuel cost information as posted by the Federal Energy Information Administration. That's all right. I mean, you think about $160, that can't possibly include.
I think they have a revenue stream though coming in on a lot of this stuff to offset it also. They get money for certain things.
And you saw the town's bid on the bid sheet there.
I didn't see that.
Is that-
How does this compare to the last time we signed it? Do you have any idea? I mean, is it more, is it
No, I
less?
don't, I think it was probably
3 years ago.
just before my time here.
And this ultimately falls under Tommy, right?
Yep,
So, shouldn't he be here? Okay.
he said he didn't, he needed to be, that he thought it was, this process we go through each time, it's a solid process, and that's the bid.
How big is it? How many dollars? is it bid for total?
I think it's
35
35 for 2 years.
For 2 years, $35,840 is a bid
For
sheet
two,
for
not
2 years.
each year.
2-year totals.
Right.
See,
So,
there were 3 haulers that bid, Ron,
Yep,
and in Ashfield, Wickles won
okay,
by $2,000.
per year.
No, for 2 years, $1,000.
Oh, I thought it was like $6,000 for the contract.
It was for all the towns.
I see.
The fuel surcharge is in there, calculated in there, right? It's not on top of that 35.
No, they can't calculate the fuel surcharge until the day they do the hauling.
That's what the fuel was at that time. So they haven't made a stab at it in terms of.
But I would assume the way things are done, that they all would have had to bid on the same structure, which would include a few
The fuel
charge back
surcharge.
to the,
So like in Chesterfield, alternative recycling got that one. In Cummington, alternative recycling got that one. You would hope so, that right there, it's housed in Cummington. In Goshen, Wickles and alternative did the same ones, and who they'll choose.
And isn't it Wiggles that does this now?
I've never heard any complaints from Tommy or anybody else. I mean, I think the only time I've ever heard a complaint is, and I think it's due to how much recycling we do. I'm always amazed that for the limited number of hours, how fast we fill those containers.
Sure.
Anybody have a problem with signing these? You want to make a motion to get this? We don't want to be July 1st and not have the boxes move.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good contract. I mean, if you feel comfortable with it, we do have Eric overseeing this in our interest, right?
Right.
Because we're a member of that, so I guess I'm okay with it.
Well, he bid it for us, and this is the winning bid.
And this is his contract, right? I mean,
he sent all this material. First to Tom, who brought it here, said just needs this select board chair signature.
just would have thought Tommy would have showed up and been informative with us on this. I mean, 3-year contract, heck, you know, some people won't even be here the next time we sign it. 2-year contract.
2-year contract with the,
Although maybe having gone through the bid process, that was constrained by the bid process.
And I mean, have we been happy with the whole process? I guess we have. You know, I haven't heard any
I
complaint.
mean, I did try asking as many questions as I could think of, and he said it's really simple. It's
Should you say that there's money currently still left in that line item?
huge, $18,000.
So,
I mean, not huge, but
I mean, I'm sure some of it will get used up before we get to the end of the year, but
not huge, but significant, right?
a June bill or something. This is just the recycling piece of it, as opposed to the trash piece.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. So who does the trucking on the trash?
There's 17,000, Wickles does it too,
Okay.
but this has to do with the recycling.
Can you just tell me what it was for the year? What we carried for that line item?
We started with 80,525.
That's right.
So far, we've expended 62.7.
That includes the trash, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, part of this is the Hilltown Resource Management. We paid a almost $6,000 fee to be a member.
Every year?
Seems,
5824 is that.
I can't think of a reason we don't want to do it.
You made a motion.
Yeah, be glad to make a motion. Is this the contract they want us to sign?
This is the
No, but I'm just for referring, making a motion.
contract for material recycling hauling services.
So I'll make a motion that we direct or ask the chair to sign on behalf of the select board the contract for MRF recycling hauling services between the town of Ashfield and Dave Whipple Trucking, dated today.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So you want me to sign, I don't need to sign the front, I just need to sign the back sheet on each one.
On 4 of those, yep.
There's actually 4 copies here.
Yeah, I thought we'll keep an original in the file. They want 3 originals.
Good, that's a good chunk out of the way.
When will we see the trash contract?
Is that yours?
Tom pretty much, I don't get into that, you don't get into that. You need something, that takes care of. So I don't have an idea. I can find out what schedule are.
Request to the extend Lake House permit by 1 hour on June 29th.
Right, and this was a message came in today, it was actually Ann Dunn who spoke to Judith Hamilton, who was requesting her license permit is till 1 a.m. She is requesting that she be allowed to stay open until 2 a.m. on Saturday, June 29th. She has a wedding booked. They have asked to have it extended to 2 a.m. I did talk to Chief to see if he had any concerns or problems. He said that there have been no problems or complaints or concerns that he has received on any activity at the lake house this year, and that he didn't have any concerns about it. I just wanted to be able to let you know if the chief had any concerns.
So does that mean she wants to be open till 2 or she wants to serve alcohol till 2?
Well, she has a wedding party booked, and I believe that she wants to, and again, this came from town clerk when we talked about that. I believe that it is to stay open, fully serving till 2 a.m. The town clerk and I looked through the liquor license files to see if there was any indication of there being any special paperwork for that. Couldn't find any. If the board chose, one of the choices is I can do some research tomorrow or call ABCC and see if there's...
When did she request this? Today?
Today.
What are your feelings?
I think if we vote to do it, I'm wondering how to let people who live in that area know that we've done that, so that calls don't start coming in at 1:15, that they haven't closed. And that's probably not that difficult, but it occurs to me to let people know that we've given permission for that. You don't want the state police to get 5-6 phone calls only to find out.
Is this within our purview to be able to do this? I know that when we recently have been to a seminar on
Liquor licenses?
licensing, alcohol licensing, serving versus selling, and so on and so forth. And I know that they're CC'd on state level board is copied on a lot of the stuff. Do we have the ability to change that even?
Town clerk who has been organizing the liquor licenses up till now. As I say, we looked at it, she didn't know of any special form. It came in middle of the day, so I didn't have a chance with other things to do any particular research. I could certainly do that.
It seems like it's.
You are the liquor licensing authority.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I need some help on that personally. I mean, what if someone said they wanted to extend it to 4 o'clock in the morning? At what point, what's the break, the cutoff for that?
Seems to me by 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd run out of money.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because it's booked fully to a special event.
2 o'clock at night, huh? What's our obligation to the residents right there, too?
First, you're gonna be thinking about staying up till 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Not me, I'm 10 o'clock in bed. I'm fine with it if you guys,
She's not 21 anymore, huh?
I mean, if we have the authority to do it, you grant a special, special permission for that, but then I'd ask, what if someone else asked, if I'm still, if someone's having a party here?
Well, that would kind of be the precedent,
Yeah,
is that we do things like shut down a town road
yeah, special interest,
for special.
private interest, whatever.
Well, and what about Gloria's
Yeah,
restrictions on her tent when she has to?
But I do have a concern about 2 o'clock. It seems like 1 o'clock would be enough for most people.
should be
Top of
invited
that,
here.
not being 20,
Could invite her to your next meeting if you want.
When I was 19, 20, 21, I lived with my grandfather. Of course, we came in at all kinds of crazy hours. But he always said, he says, I don't know what's going on. He says, I can't believe anything good happens after midnight.
Should we invite Judith to our meeting, Tom? What do you think?
Well, it's gonna be close,
Yeah, I know.
Next week's meeting. I don't think that would be a bad idea. At least I would want to have a little more information before we probably inevitably would do it.
Because
It does seem, I mean, did she book it for 2 o'clock without having a permit to do it? I mean, that's kind of putting herself in a corner. I mean, if I can get it, I can do it.
It's
It seems to me.
conceivable, maybe, I'm guessing, the special event is not starting till later, as opposed to 5 o'clock. If you're not starting until 9,
There's a reason weddings are supposed to be at like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, so all that can be over with and people can carry on with their lives at an acceptable hour.
before midnight happens.
That's right. Everything's supposed to be in place by midnight. I would.
Somebody's
I would
asking for
ask-
somebody.
I would ask her to come in, just so we can have some face-to-face discussion about it.
Yeah, I could see an irate neighbor and us saying, yeah, we just approved it, without really asking her these questions. I think it makes sense.
And Mary, who did you say the board was? ABC? Is that what you said?
ATV.
ATV?
Is it ABCC?
I don't think it's that called tobacco firearms.
I thought it was actually.
That OTF, did you say ATV?
I forget.
It's not actually on here, I just made a cover of the copy of the
I
cover
think it's
of
the
the
ABC,
ABC. I believe so.
alcohol beverage.
So maybe we could ask them if,
Yeah, I could make a call to
I mean,
them tomorrow just to.
we could say, and then.
Is there a special?
I bet we can look it up online.
I would do that first.
We wouldn't want her to get in trouble when somebody says, so what group said you could stay open until 2?
Well, let's just dig up a little more information before we paint with a broad brush on that one.
Um,
I'll invite her under appointments on the 24th.
Liaison.
I don't have anything special.
I have a little bit. I just want to write this stuff. I met with the town hall group today and just pulled together a quick memo on this.
Cute.
And actually one for
Do you
the
need two?
file too.
Yes, two.
And all I say in here really, if we just cut through the chase on it, is that I handed these out to them, as I had mentioned at our last meeting, and I've got some of them back in hard copy format, and the ones I get back that you have, Paulette, to share with the personnel board, at least that I have, is the treasurer, the town hall custodians on the very last page, and then there's the town collector too. And they're relatively innocuous edits that some of them make sense. That, for example, in the treasurer one, she says that it's a benefited position, and she was kind enough to attach the select board minutes that made it such. So there's some reading material there. And then some of the other folks who responded did it or plan to do it immediately, and I'll forward those with a please do not reply on it, so you have them digitally. They didn't have the actual document files, the DOC files, so some people had to type in stuff, and it's for our consideration, really.
Yep.
And I'm asking at the very bottom that we invite, and I think this is the way to do it, that we invite the personnel board and the persons filling the current positions to a meeting at some point in the future, because the personnel board had a reason for doing it, and I think they should at least be extended the courtesy of an invitation to come to one of our meetings. And if we have questions on these, it makes sense to have the current people filling these positions, ask them. But I'm not locked into it, I'm just reporting back to you guys on this.
And many of them are pre the current personnel board,
Yeah,
2007,
exactly.
pulled from the file.
So we can all learn from this sort of thing, and I just I want to get these behind us so that we can do personnel appraisals in the fall, and I think we need to start moving on it. So I wanted this just to get that to you. That's one thing.
Well, I think thanks for you doing it, but I think it's great that they took it so seriously to get back to you and make notes into that.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one to that book we have, so anything else you send along.
Yeah, you can slide them in
Yep.
behind, but you being our liaison with the personnel board, I think you want to keep them abreast of
Do
this.
you want me to pass them copies?
I think you do, and I think at some point we want to get on the agenda with these and be able to talk about them.
Right, because I know that the personnel board is going to be looking for the select board to say yes or no, we agree to this, this, and this.
And sign it.
And then take the copy plus whatever changes, come back with new ones, nice, neat, clean, and you sign off.
I agree.
Right.
I think that's a good
Because
thing
then we're going to have an electronic copy of it.
going forward.
Right now, we can't find electronic
Yeah.
copies of these.
The only other thing I wanted to ask under liaison of this board is I have for the Ashfield Dam a set of drawings that I got out of that file cabinet. It's a set of probably 8 when the dam was first built. And I'm a little nervous
First
about
built or rebuilt?
rebuilt back in the late 80s, I believe. And I don't want to take that set out onto the dam. So I'd like to go to Staples and make the copies. I can't imagine how much they are. I imagine $5 a sheet, the 24 by 36.
You don't need to make them for each one of us.
No, but I'd like
I mean,
a field copy and and put the other one back here for the future, because I don't want to fall in the lake or anything like that. It's good. It's a nice full set. So can I work with Mary to give tax ID numbers to Staples? I've never done this before, and to get a set. I'm assuming 5 times, I'm assuming under $50.
We'll charge that right to select board expense.
Yeah,
What's that?
We'll charge it right to select board expense.
Okay.
they'll probably make you pay,
I don't mind paying out of my pocket.
and then charge it.
Do you have
That'd be
a
good.
form form for tax exempt, or
Mhm.
it doesn't really matter to me, but I know that Laura will probably beat me up without it, so.
I can scan and email it to you, or?
That would be
provide
great,
a hard
if
copy?
you would scan and email it, and I'll ask them how much more it is to, since they're running it right over the big machine, they can do a scan just for the future, and we could have an electronic too.
Put
We
it
may
on
not have,
Trello.
we may not.
They can
have
put it
a
on
printer,
Trello.
but we can.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, at least you can look at it on your computer and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, you take the big one and then you get to see little corners.
Exactly. Whole bunch of 8.5 by 11s. So anyways, I'll work with Mary on that and get that
Good
set
idea.
That
made.
sounds great.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, next week's agenda. I got a telephone call on Wednesday, and I met with Robin Sherman from the Housing Authority
Sure.
on Friday afternoon. So next week on the agenda, you're gonna see an appointment with her. She's gonna come in and she has to talk about another financing situation with the Ashfield house.
Oh,
That they're gonna borrow some money to do some much-needed updates with heating, getting it painted, doing that sort of thing. And, you know, what the town is gonna need to do as far as our lien that we have on the property.
oh, that's the reason she's coming, is because of the hook.
Because of the law.
Yeah, because otherwise they don't need us.
Yeah.
Probably.
But that,
That was moving out of third place to fourth probably.
Probably.
so far down the line. I mean, I think we should listen to her. I think she's got some great things planned to do. You know, I mean, just the heating system and, you know, moving from fuel oil to propane and doing some of these other things. And getting a certified contractor in there to paint the building, outside of the building. You know, a lead paint certified contractor to do that. I know that's part of the proposal.
Yeah, because probably the last time it was painted must have been, what, 2005-ish when they took it over? I mean, there were probably painters out there, so it's been a
So
while.
anyway, that's what she wants to come in and talk about. The first thing that runs through my mind is, I don't know if subordinating amounts to anything. I wonder if the town should, if it can, just forgive that. I mean, we're so far down the line. You know, there's almost $2 million worth of liens on that property from the different housing authorities and so forth. I mean, by the time they get to our $287,500. But that's something we can discuss.
Yeah,
We
but
should make sure we give a heads up to the finance committee in case any of them.
I meant to, I'll call Ted tomorrow. Oh, Mary, why don't you just email, you'll get to it quicker than I will. Would you do that?
Quick question about that agenda. You said Stuart first, should Robin be next because she comes from far away and Judith third?
Before I forget, did you ever talk to Musinski's about their dog? Lauren would like to get started on that because July 1st is just not.
All the things that have been done, I should have been doing that. That's for
And since we're talking about the 24th, there's something here in mail, but maybe I could move it up because it's about scheduling. Email today from Juliet Jacobson, the tech committee would like to get on the select board's agenda sometime in the near future. We'd like to discuss the use of the town website by town officials for posting meetings and minutes. I told her I would see if we could get a date tonight and get back.
So it must be changing what we're doing now.
Who is this?
Juliet Jacobson for the
Oh,
tech
okay.
committee.
What, yeah, whatever.
Probably trying to possibly getting more people to do it as opposed to alternate it. Because some still do it an agenda
Right.
item, but it doesn't end up on the internet and stuff like that. Maybe you might. I'm
see if we can't run them in on July 1st.
And I might have thought that, let me just go back to think for a second, if Nexamp can't come on the 26th, we were gonna ask them to come on
The
the 1st and do the public meeting first and then the select board meeting afterwards, or do the public information session first at 7?
Well, let's do it at 7:30. We can open our meeting and get started and then do the public information. If it happens to go to July. So Robin Sherman, and then I did stop, I was in Greenfield today, so I ran in and saw Donna for a few minutes. And I just asked her about the ins and outs of us when we get to that decision about, subordinating, if there was any, we had authorization to do that, and she had the file right there. And she said subordinating would be easy if the town decided to forgive that whole thing, just to put it behind us and move on. She said she's not exactly sure how that would be handled, because that was she'd have to go back and look at the contract, and I told her, don't do it now. But let us discuss it first. I said, don't spend time on that, billing us for that.
Because you could probably subordinate, if you really want to get rid of it, you could go back and visit it at meantime to make it go away.
Right. But let's get our idea of what.
That was like,
I mean, it seems like I've seen a couple of emails, imagining that we had some responsibility because of this, and we don't have any responsibility, but it might just eliminate that. So anyway, I did stop and see Donna today, and I was just trying to hit the background on, because it sounds like this financing needs to be done within a certain to make it happen. All right?
Sorry, Tom, I didn't know you weren't through.
Huh?
Didn't realize you weren't through with that one, didn't mean to break in.
No. Any mail that you haven't already gone through?
Let me just go back to a minute to July 1st with the tech committee. So if you open the meeting at 7 on the 24th, and then at 7:30 we have an advertised informational meeting session, the Nexamp contract. When should I start scheduling people to come back for the special town meeting? Or to come in, people always ask, when will I be on the agenda? They don't want to be here for the whole thing.
So
So,
first, you're
8.
saying,
Yeah, July 1st. So,
What if we started at 7 with the tech committee? Because I know usually he's first to be a little earlier than later. And then at 7:30 we do the open forum, and then we can finish up with the rest of our meetings. It's all going to happen in our meeting, right? Because I know David Cope would prefer to be sooner than later.
just to interject, not to make it complicated, but I plan to talk to Stuart and try to convince him to come. Is it too much to come on the 24th?
no, I think the 24th
Because you
is
had
fine.
mentioned first, but I don't have a definite yet, so I know.
No, the
right, but it was that you could offer him the 1st because later is not good for some people.
We're talking about July 1st.
Oh, I thought you were
Jumping
talking
way
about
ahead of July
Well,
1st.
we've jumped around a bit, and so on the 24th, as I understand it, it might be, if it worked out,
Could be
Stuart
Stuart.
first, then Robin, then Judith Hamilton.
Yes.
Those appointments.
Okay.
Stuart won't take long.
No.
So that's Stuart.
And then you were saying on the 26th, the STM, right?
And then followed by
By the informational meeting,
If that works out.
if they can do it. That'd be perfect.
we're really piling up the meetings before we go on this every other week deal.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Get ready.
All right, so other mail. Take care of the tech committee's request. Actually, I think I'll just put this in, set the stuff in front of you, Tom, and go through. The first one there is an email from I don't have it in front of me.
Anna Vanderspeck. Environmental America.
And then she called today to see when the board would see it.
Oh, this was to administrative assistant. Dear Ms. Fitzgibbon, my name is Anna Vanderspeck. I'm working with Environmental Massachusetts on a campaign to ban fracking and its wastewater in Massachusetts. Would you mind forwarding the message after to the Board of Select Board? Thank you for your time. She says she's an intern with Environmental Massachusetts, a statewide citizen-supported environmental advocacy organization. I'm writing to ask each of you to sign onto a letter below and attached to urge our legislators to stop fracking and its toxic wastewater from coming to Massachusetts because local communities will bear the brunt of pollution and costs from this dirty drilling. We believe it is especially important for Beacon Hill to hear from local leaders like you, and I thought maybe we'd drill a hole under Beacon Hill and get rid of some of the leaders. But anyway, it's just me. And the letter says, we, the undersigned local officials, are calling for a ban on hydraulic fracturing, otherwise known as fracking, and its toxic wastewater in Massachusetts. Across the nation, the dirty drilling boom brought on by fracking is contaminating drinking water making nearby residents sick, releasing global warming, pollution, and turning rural landscapes into industrial zones. Moreover, fracking operations impose significant costs. Goes on and on. It says legislators in Vermont already took this step in 2012. Well, that's enough to make me want to look at it twice. But you got this by email, so.
Got that by email, and actually it was, I think, toward the end of the week when I was out, but she called today and asked about it.
I would think the way to handle this would be to forward it to each of us, and then if you want to send a letter and sign on, go for it.
But you can't sign on as, I mean, what they're looking for is select board endorsement.
Well, it says,
She did say we're interested in individual signatures, whether or not it's as select board.
Whether or not.
Can you forward that to us?
No, she said that verbally. Oh,
No,
you
can
mean
you forward
this?
that to the select board when we'll all get it? Looks like it's 7.
yeah, I'm not telling you that I'm necessarily opposed to it, but I'm normally not very keen on signing on to something just because somebody says it. Look at that before you get the email.
Do you want to see it before the email comes?
No, I mean, I'll get the email. I mean, my only question is, would you be interested in signing it as the select board? I haven't even seen the email yet, but certainly certain things come before the select board asking for their endorsement, right? Are you saying you don't want to sign it, or that you'd rather sign it individually? Give me some.
I want to study it some more
Okay.
before I would.
So we'll bring it up next week, talk about it some more. I mean, I'm not hell-bent on talking about it tonight.
No, I'm not bent on talking about it tonight because I haven't had time to research it. I think if we want to put it on the agenda, I don't think next week is the week to put it on.
Right.
I think next week's going to be a pretty busy week.
Okay.
So we could find a time in July. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we research it, and either the 24th or the 1st, we'll discuss it after we've done some research and decide if we want to take action. I don't think doesn't sound to me on that letter like it's a timed event. Susan, you got something to add on this?
Well, I do, because my daughter works for Environment Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I just texted her that you were discussing this, and she says to tell you to do it, to sign it.
Did you text her back and say that Tom says he doesn't know?
No, she's come before the select board before, because she was an intern. And I think she asked you to endorse, it was increasing the, it was solar, the cap on solar.
I remember that.
Yeah, so they're always doing things like this. I just thought you'd want to know that
That was
it's
good.
a hot topic.
Yeah, yeah. Be able to do it right here. Letter from Maya.
So just to wrap that up, you'll bring it up like in a couple of weeks or something, we'll count on you bringing it forward, right?
Yeah,
Because otherwise, it's not
Sounds-
like we receive that.
Put it on the agenda for July 1st.
yeah, I put 24th the first, I'll cross out 24th and put it on the first.
Thank you, that's all I wanted to know.
So we'll get the email.
Yeah. So from Maya, it gives us great pleasure to follow up on our letter of April 26th with even more good news! Exclamation mark. I don't know why they printed it in such small. At their May 2013 meeting, the Maya Board of Directors approved another additional participation credit of $2.5 million. Yes, this is in addition to the $2.5 million we announced on April 26th. As you know, these participation credits are returned to members of the Workers' Compensation Program and Property and Liability Program for the current fiscal year. So the town of Ashfield, the credits we get are $1,345 for property and casualty, and $448 for workman's compensation. That's our share of $2.5 million.
Everybody counts,
Right?
So we should. I was hoping it when they said $2.5 million. I was pretty
Had a
excited.
bigger number lined up.
Yeah. It's still better than a frozen boot in the ass. So. All right. An email from Steve Goodgen.
And that's just a reminder, really.
Hi, the Ashfield Historical Commission is planning to host a presentation on demolition delay bylaws.
And say it again, demolition?
Demolition delay bylaws by Chris Skelly of the Massachusetts Historical Commission on our regular meeting time and date of June 27th at 7 p.m. Remember last week I said we had all these things going on, right? The 24th we meet, the 25th is the election, the 26th is hopefully it's special town meeting and hopefully followed by the public hearing, and then the 27th is don't tear down anything in town.
Where is that, in the town hall?
I am writing because I am planning to invite members of other interested town committees and commissions, as well as a few members from the historical commissions surrounding towns, and want to make sure that the downstairs hall is available for that evening.
Yeah, we wrote them in.
Are we going to have the booth will be cleaned up from the election?
Yes.
Hampshire County Select Board Association?
I just put that in there because they sent it to you. It's not your
We're not in
county.
Hampshire County.
No, but they always send them, and I think it's because occasionally
And they
we have,
yeah.
we have some, like communication. We have little bits with them.
I mean, it's great because it's at the Blue Bonnet. The Blue Bonnet buffet at the Blue Bonnet can't be beat.
I've never been to it.
Huh?
Is it a breakfast buffet?
Is it the one
This
in
is
20th?
This is at 5 p.m.
Wow. I've
I
never
mean,
been
in the
there.
meeting,
Right in Northampton, you
the meeting, the big meeting room out back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's go.
there's
En
always,
masse.
of course, it's Northampton,
You
and it's always going to have.
gotta break the rules once in a while.
No, it's fine. I mean, there's always, Golumpi's and
Oh, wow.
sauerkraut and kielbasa and that sort of thing. And then-
Really?
Then you get the.
I love that stuff. It's my food.
So, but that's Thursday, June 20th.
Right. It's this week.
Yeah. My week's too full for that, but don't let me hold you back.
The educational seminar will explain how the conflict of interest law governs the conduct of municipal employees. Rules regarding gifts, outside employment, contracting with the municipality.
The meal sounds like the most exciting part.
Does anyone need or want me to send this to you?
All right, here's some real news. This is from the town accountant, Joyce. End of year bill paying procedures. It's that time of year. Again, I've attached a copy of the vendor warrant schedule for the remainder of 13 and 14. Please pay close attention. On Friday, June 28th, we will be processing 2 warrants. One for FY13 and one for 14. Please submit 13 bills and 14 bills on separate bill schedules and clearly indicate how can we be processing bills on June 28th for 14?
It's probably payroll, because it's going to be paid in July.
Crossover.
Because usually it's the check date.
On Friday, July 12th, we will be processing a final warrant for fiscal year 13, as well as a 14 warrant. So really, we were talking to Ted, they really need to have those numbers prior to the 10th.
I think so, yeah.
Final warrant for 13 as well as a 14 warrant. Again, please submit on separate bills. So it's just telling you that you cannot, please note, you cannot encumber any amounts that are greater than the balance on your 13 appropriation. Okay?
Right, so you can't have overspent your money.
Carry forwards are used when an appropriation was intended for the current fiscal year but could not be carried out for a good reason. Any carry forward request should be submitted to me in writing in advance. Monies will not be carried forward automatically. Well, she makes quite a lot of herself, doesn't she? She puts that in bold, italics, and everything. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. And then it gives the whole warrant schedule for the whole year. She has it pretty well laid out, doesn't she? I wonder if it lines up with our select board meetings that we work so hard to. Yes, it does. July 1st, 15th, 29th, 12th, 26th.
I wouldn't mind getting a copy of that. You can, I don't need it right away, so you can put it in my folder for next week.
Then we must.
Just the schedule.
I'm guessing that we've got the,
If you want to, I would start, so it won't scan well.
Yeah, I don't need this, just a copy.
If you're copying, I'll take one too, Mary, then.
so tomorrow, if you didn't have something to do,
Not gonna be around.
2 public forums, the first
Scenic
meeting,
byway.
the scenic byway. Who do we have?
Tomorrow, right?
Who,
Alan Rice is on that committee. Lester Garvin, I know, attends the meetings. Don't know if he's formally a member of that committee. Is that what you're going to ask?
I actually came to a meeting in this room, and it was pretty well attended, I was surprised.
Talking about Alan Rice, what about the long-range super plan?
Right, he called this afternoon to say that he had hoped to have something for me to bring to you all tonight. He said it would be next week.
And isn't there a deadline?
There is, and it looks like it's probably mid-July. we talked, went over the letter that came in, and it sounds like it's mid-July.
Is the deadline.
Yeah, well, what it is we're trying to make sure that the old one doesn't lapse. They said they would hold the old one in place until mid-July.
I hate getting presented something close to the deadline and feel
This
like,
will be, for sure.
that is what it is. I didn't volunteer to get on the committee to do it, so. Did you get this?
I did, I almost.
And then, Mass DOT, what this coming up? Postcard?
Came in postcard, so I made a copy to go into your file so you could each have it.
A Moving Together Conference,
In
Bay
October.
State Roads Program. At the University of Massachusetts, at least it's not far away. Moving Together, 2013. Transit plus walking plus bicycling equals mobility. I wonder how much they paid somebody to come up with it. Moving Together, Mass DOT's annual statewide healthy transportation conference. Adds a prominent new partner this year. Transit, as the conference theme states, transit plus walking plus biking mobility. All three modes comprise healthy transportation. And support Mass DOT's mode shift and green DOT policies. Add your voice to growing chorus of support. Register now.
So they were talking on the radio today about a couple of legs of the Amtrak route to add on cars, so they, baggage cars, so they could put bicycles in them.
Makes sense.
Because people are taking the train
Oh,
out to the
at
country.
least they weren't thinking of riding their bicycles in the train.
They're gonna put them in the baggage car.
Oh, you got it?
It's a baggage car.
Good,
Yes, Alan?
yeah, probably, won't be long, they'll have cars where you can get on the treadmill. Yeah, it's probably not a bad thing, but. Mass DOT in Northampton, I drive by that all the time. First, they put up the solar panels, which I think that's a great demonstration project.
Yeah,
You know, I
it's
mean,
a lot of-
they ought to have something there. What they're missing is they don't have a sign there that's saying, we're generating so much
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
Or we've done this month, or year to date, or,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a demonstration project, but it doesn't advertise anything. It's just,
Yeah.
something simple, they're just missing completely. But you walk by, and I'm telling you, the whole staff is not doing anything else but walking around the building. They put in a fancy sidewalk, walkway around there, and they're just walking all the time, every time I go by. Said there cannot possibly be this many exercise breaks.
But I do have
I'm
a
gonna stop and
question
ask.
for the board
Go ahead.
from the person. Now, we are getting to the point where the draft of the revision for the personnel policies become available. Is it your
Didn't you already-
expectation as a board that we will bring that copy to each, that would come to this board first to peruse before ultimately it will need to go past town council?
Oh, the policies, not the charge.
That's the part we've been working on now for.
For the procedures and policies manual.
Right. So is it
I would think
your
it
desire to come before this board first, or get it together and get feedback from town council for any changes?
I would think logically that we would get feedback from the select board first, and then have something that we could support, and then have town council check our work. Does that make sense to you?
It really doesn't matter to me.
Or why would you, my feeling is, why would you send something to town council that you may not like?
It's a good point.
Most of what we're doing is not so much it's not like we're throwing in whole new things, it's just getting it better organized, fixing the wording, so it's not like there's any surprises that we've added on things. And then making sure that if there's references to laws, we've updated whatever it is, that kind of thing.
Until the laws get changed.
Again,
Can I ask you a question? I know you, because I attended one or two of the meetings that you're working with what we had before, we were the track changes copy.
To go with the existing manual, no.
So they can see what's changed from the existing manual.
It
to
would
the-
drive you crazy, because we're fixing the wording, you just start with a clean slate. It's impossible. We did that for ourselves, and it's difficult. When you want to reorganize it and move things around, and you find sections that you think don't belong here, they needed to be over here. So
Is there some way to call out the changes?
Well, I think if
We're not-
that's the case.
The whole thing is a rewrite.
The whole thing is rewrite.
The current one hasn't been thrown out, so somebody
Right.
could sit there
Right.
and we we'll have to.
Oh, yes,
Make
I'm
some
sure.
general comparison.
But if you try to make it track the changes, it's not like what you, yeah,
Really nice.
it's awful.
Let me ask you a question. At work, we used to have a hard copy one, and then we decided it was impossible, because the minute you come out to print with that, it's already outdated, because the laws change and all the references. So we went digital, and we had hot links actually to the law, so that people could click on it if they wanted to, and it really worked well. The digital one was pretty nice, because people could access it. The problem we were finding with some of this stuff was that every time you made a change, you had to get people to sign the hard copy that they've seen it, whereas if you had the digital one, we actually had email receipts that people received them or received updates. And we didn't always say exactly what the updates were, but please be advised under the Fair Labor Law that this has changed, you know. So, and refer to the employee manual, and that and it wasn't just an employee manual, but that there's one copy of it. And otherwise, you had to go to people's desks to get the hard copy. And it was like a real nightmare. Has there been any consideration to a digital online copy?
Yes,
Okay.
but there was also the concern that initially, since it's being reorganized, the rewrite is really more a reorganization and correct English and stuff like that, to give people a printed copy to start with, because they've got the old one.
I see.
And then whatever we think we want to do with it to continue the maintenance of it.
Going forward.
The personnel board was assuming it would be coming here first, but I wanted to ask the question so that if this board said, no, let's send it off to town council first, that we
Sure.
just, yeah.
I mean, did they think of any reason why it would go to town council first?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the conversation we had was what we agreed.
It's good. First.
It just, I know we've got a lot, and you're looking at the positions, and you're looking, so,
Do we have to, since it is 2013 heading towards foot, do we have to print it in more than one language?
it's an excellent question, I haven't thought that. Although
I
it
mean,
probably
there's so
would have
many
to
things,
go
there's
through,
so many things that
it
are,
might have to go through a translation.
And Paulette, I don't know that employees have a printed copy of, it's a big book, and so
No, that's a thin little thing. It's not very big.
procedures and policies.
It's
I
not
have a
very
copy,
big. Yeah,
actually.
it's just,
Here?
yeah.
Yeah, I got it from the clerk or someone, I can't remember who.
And it may be that
well, that's
it
what I
stopped
thought.
being passed out because it was, people were aware that it was,
Outdated.
Partially, there were some contradictory parts and so
right, right. You know, like the board at one time, we voted the percentage of participation insurance, and the old one still has the old number, or things like that. And any suggestions of how you want to do it in the future is fine.
Yep. Mary, do you need help putting a letter together for Scanlon that I can sign?
I think I wrote one.
Holler at me and I'll sign it. But I don't think that we need to, you shouldn't have to get out his Cracker Jacks decoding ring to tell him that.
No, it's pretty simple, I think. And what I can do is send it to you in an attachment. If you want to change, I'll change it. If not, then I'll say it's
Perfect. Perfect. Anything else tonight?
When are we gonna do the reappointments?
Yeah. we're gonna have to-
24th is when Albert said she had one for us.
Thank you.
She's going down the line checking.
Yep.
Who's up for it?
Yep.
Who gets parole and who doesn't. All right, anything else? So that's on the agenda for the 24th.
Also on the agenda for the 24th. Does anyone have anything else?
Seems pretty full.
Sounds pretty full.
Yep.
Yeah, I would tell anybody else that they're gonna have to get in line for August.
That sounds fine.
I'll let you know about Stuart after I talk to him, let the whole board know, one direction email that he is or isn't.
Yeah, if you tell them August and we get to them in July, they'll feel like we're right on the ball. Has there been any word on, I should have asked Donna today, but I didn't even think of it. Was it last week, appellate tax board, did the assessors get any response on that, on what they were doing?
Nothing that I've heard of, and they weren't in today. Jen wasn't in today. She was not.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So move. It's what?
Is there anybody who needs to speak to me or us?
An hour or so ago, but it's gone.
It's gone now?
Oh, yes.
All right,
So
a motion, second.
10:25.
We're done at 10:25, it's over. Very good.